In the words of the great DJ Khaled, Dan, another one.
You're not allowed to quote him, bro.
I had to start this off with a cheesy quote because I know it triggers you, and I know that you get annoyed, and I just had to do it.
Annoyed. You can't quote that dude. Like, no. Anyway, welcome to the Pixel Den, everybody. I'm Dan, and Seabass is here.
What's up, man? We are in a rare time where both of us have off from our work. How's the week gone?
Oh, yeah, it's been great. It's been real great. The first week I've taken off since my son was born over a year ago. And that's when he decides to get an ear infection and then get a cold. And I think he might have either passed off the scratchiness, so listener, sorry for the raspy voice today.
Fine. Yeah, I think you sound fine, but it still sucks.
Yeah, it's like, of course, that's like the week. So like me and Sam had to cancel the plans we had this week and all this other stuff. So it's like kind of just been playing nurse and nanny for the week. But so that's why I shouldn't take time off anymore.
Well, at least you're not commuting. I think one of the biggest things I noticed from working remotely since COVID hit is, man, I do not miss commuting.
Yeah, see, actually, I never minded the commute for me.
Yeah?
Like, when I had to go into the city, it didn't really bother me at all. I actually kind of preferred it. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes it sucked. I remember plenty of times getting on the train and...
Late night.
Oh, late night, and then like, God help you if the Rangers got out or if the Yankees got out. Oh, those were the worst train rides on earth.
I remember trying to time my trains out so I wouldn't have to deal with those drunkards.
Yeah. I can't deal with that. No. That was always worse. Or it's like you get the heroes. Like you always get some guy who's a jerk, and like there's someone in the car.
Yeah, like a big fight breaks out always. And has to like
then the train stops, and here we go.
You don't get home until like an hour extra. I mean, you were supposed to.
Granted, I'm saying I don't mind the commute, but this was before I had a kid, so now I probably would mind it a lot more than I would have then.
That'll be interesting to see.
So that's my glorious week. But I did manage to finally finish Obi-Wan.
Interesting. I think we'll save that for another episode because I want to do a deep dive into Star Wars because I think there's so much we can talk about, especially, us being big Star Wars fans. We'll save that, but I'm glad you finished it. You gave me a homework assignment last episode, and I always do my homework, Dan. No, not really.
Bullshit.
You recommended to me I should watch Love, Death, and Robots. It's on Netflix.
Love, Sex, and Robots.
Love, Sex, and Robots. Yeah. Is it?
Is it Love, Sex?
Well, hold on now.
Oh, wait a minute.
We are checking.
I'm sorry. It is Love, Death, and Robots. My apologies.
Oh, it feels good. Yeah. Anyway.
You only get one, so don't get used to it.
Anyway, you recommended I watch that, and one episode in particular.
Yeah.
So I watched the first 5 episodes because if you guys haven't seen it, it's I would say it's an anthology.
No, it's exactly what that is. It's an anthology show that's completely animated, but all forms of animation.
Different type of stuff.
And it's all sci-fi. It's like Black Mirror-esque, but like they try to not all of it's not as like in your face or as kind of grungy or as kind of, you don't like feel like crap every time you watch an episode. So the 3rd season came out even at the time of this recording probably about a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago. Really? So we're kind of behind on it.
There's so much content.
It's a sleeper show. It's like one of those things on Netflix that kind of gets buried that like if you got into it at the beginning the first season, then you're going to follow it.
I don't think it's like something they actively, even though there's really big names behind it.
There's
like
some serious directors.
David
Fincher
Tim
does
Miller,
one. But that's the Netflix motif is that they don't do. It's very rare for them to actually, Netflix that is, to do any type of promotion on their products that they're releasing. It's rare when they do. I think I heard that
only
from
the big guns like Stranger Things.
Well, the Russo brothers, they said that when Stranger Things was getting released, the first season, Netflix had went to them, and this is what I heard when they were on an interview with them. They were saying like, listen, don't expect crazy numbers. You have your release day. You're going to be on the banner for a day or two, and like that's it. And then it blew up.
Yeah.
But yeah, Love, Death, and Robots is definitely one of those shows that was kind of like a sleeper hit. The first season came out, and like a lot of the people who are into it's kind of in the same realm as like the Animatrix when that had come out, and things like that. Like an anthology show that's just like heavily with every episode is a different director, different animation style, and Yeah.
And really short, too. Like, the episodes are like from 10 to 20 minutes long.
There's nothing super long. You can bang out a season pretty quickly.
Yeah, pretty much.
And season 3, I think, was like one of the seasons get better as they go on.
Yeah, I finished the first 5, so don't spoil the next 5 for me. But you can laugh, you can cry, you can.
So there's 2 in that show in this season.
The first 5, okay. We can talk about the first 5.
I got to remember what the first 5 were.
So I can, since I basically watched it last night, I can. The first one is, I think, a comedy where these 3 robots.
Yes, the
basically
3 robots with Mars.
enter a post-apocalyptic Earth.
Now, did you watch season 2 or 3? 1? You didn't, right? You don't have to, but I was just like
I've seen season 1. I'm pretty sure.
Because in season 2 there is like a similar setup with 3 robots that are like following Earth. I don't know if it's the same.
Are
robots.
they like trying to spread it out through all the seasons?
It might be. So you said you watched the first 5.
I saw the first 5. Yes.
Okay, so then you watched. Okay. So you also watched the with the honey badger. All right, for the record, there's gonna be tons of spoilers because we're gonna go full into it. It's like an '80s action movie, the CIA bunker.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so essentially,
I was like,
those
wait,
2 are my absolute favorites.
That was a really good one. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, so that one, I think it's called Team Kill, Kill Team Kill. It's the 5th episode in it, and I think it's like a 10-minute thing, and it's literally just someone paying homage to like old Predator and Commando, like the Schwarzenegger movies. Like it's just those old action movies, which I loved, and it's really funny because it's just the most like adrenaline, like man fueled, like just like the most dumbest, like just every stereotype you can have of like a meathead and like an action movie.
And the animation styles of all these episodes are so unique and so fun to follow that it really engages you as you watch it.
And then Night of the Mini Dead is the
one
which
I watched this last night.
I wish it was longer, but it's like I think if you exclude the intro and outros, it's like 5 minutes.
Exactly. And like what's so funny about this is I watched this. I started watching this season a little after midnight, and the last episode I saw happened to be Night of the Mini Living Dead, and probably a bad mistake because I was laughing my ass off watching that because I don't want to spoil it for people, but imagine. I think it's like 7 minutes long, right?
It's not long at all, but it's
of the
pretty much every zombie movie
of like
ever
a hyper, very quick, really funny and energetic zombie world all rolled into 7 minutes. That was really fun. I'm glad you recommended it to me.
Oh, it's amazing because
I went to sleep laughing.
Because it's so night. I just love. Okay, so everyone has zombie movie fatigue. Especially with The Walking Dead and just all these like because it was that like branch in the early 2000s where just everything was a zombie. Yeah. And zombies are cool, but after a while you get fatigued with it, right? So if you got to bring like especially a comedy to the zombie genre, this I like just it's called Night of the Mini Dead because it's like a CGI claymation kind of miniature style kind of shoot, but they expedite in 5 minutes. They expedite pretty much every single zombie movie that's ever been made.
Yeah.
It's like it comes to like how it starts to how it ends, and you like the quote that gets me every time is when like they call the president and he's like zombies not in our country, and it's like full blown Americana, just like it's like,
like monster trucks come out of nowhere,
like the best. Yeah, they just it's absolutely it's like they show you them and just carpet bombing like Manhattan, and it's just like downtown like Brooklyn is like fine, like they got it under control, like it's the dumbest thing, like the monks on the mountain, and it's like 3 of them and they can just
and they're like they're fighting off the zombies for like, oh yeah, they're gonna do it, like nope, and then them getting crushed.
And like the Pope is like the Pope mobile, the Pope is killing. It's like the dumbest thing in 5 minutes.
Oh my god, but it's funny. It reminded me a little bit of, and it came before that, but the Star Wars Visions that recently came out. That type of like where you take an existing genre and you kind of put your own spin on it.
Oh, the Wachowskis did this with the Animatrix.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
They did this, and then
there's an audience for those type of things. I really do.
I'm part of it. I think even didn't they do one before with Blade Runner?
Yes. Yeah. I don't know if it was any good, but
I watched a few. Actually, I did watch that, and there was 1 or 2 that were not bad. Actually, one was. There was one that was really good. It's called Blackout 2022, and that was directed.
Are these the ones they made before the movie came out?
Before the 2049 came out, yeah.
Yeah.
And this was like the lead up.
Really good.
That was a lead up to it. So it's like kind of like some backstories.
Explains
so Blade Runner Blackout 2022 is part of that set of the like this like anthology like animated vignettes for Blade Runner. But this one was written and directed by Watanabe
of Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo fame.
Yes, who is a brilliant director, and he did that one, and it's like one of the best ones in that set.
Yeah,
not all of them were great in that series, but that was very good. So yeah, Love, Death, and the Robots is a
good
really
recommendation, Dan. You get a pat on the back for the good recommendation.
Damn straight I do. Like that's some good shit.
You got to catch my recommendation I gave you last time, The Bear.
Actually, even Sam, she was like, "Do you want to watch that?" And I'm like, "Well, I've been hearing nothing but positive things from everybody. Like I'm getting no descriptions of what the show is. They're just like, watch it." So that's usually a good sign.
Yeah, because you kind of have to experience it for yourself. I just recommended it to my brother today, actually. Speaking of Netflix, I recently watched The Gray Man, the new action movie.
I just watched it today with the kids' nap time. I was able to get 2 hours in and actually watch it, so I banged that out.
So I liked it. I thought, obviously, like the story was like kind of but
well, I mean, it's kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, that story's been told.
Yeah, but it kind of reminded me of those old school action movies where you just strap in, get some cool action scenes, charismatic actors. Ryan Gosling as an action star, you really don't associate in the same realm.
I mean, if you ever saw Driver.
You mean Drive?
Yeah. Drive? Not Driver. Driver's the video game.
I don't know if I consider that an action movie, more of a thriller / whatever. But yeah,
well, this movie goes back to what I was saying last time about like there's just no summer blockbuster popcorn movies where you can shut your brain off and watch. Like there's none of that. That's what this movie's trying to do. It doesn't take itself too seriously.
Exactly.
Yeah, like essentially what that movie is it's, I mean, this story's been told 1,000 times, but just for the audience, it's essentially first 10 minutes of the movie, super assassin for the government. His mission, he's got to take out a guy. Takes out the guy, finds out there's some shady shit going down.
Maybe he's not a bad guy.
Yeah, maybe he's not a bad guy. Oh, here we go. We've heard this story 1,000 times, and then lo and behold, now he's on the run. There's a lot of decent. There was a couple things that I really dug about this movie. The acting, the cast set is great. Mm-hmm. You have Ryan Gosling. You also have, I always butcher her name.
Are you talking about the lovely Ana de Armas?
Yeah, see, you can, the way you say it.
No, Dan, I want you to try it right now. Ana
de Armas.
No, Ana de Armas.
Armas. Ana de Armas.
Like arming yourself, like Armas.
Ana de Armas.
Yeah.
Close enough.
Yeah.
But that's the problem. White gringo.
Holy
that's all I can say, buddy.
Because she is a goddess of cinema.
Yeah, no, she's also an extremely talented actress.
Yeah. So
there are movies that she's been in that she didn't actually know how she wasn't speaking English yet, and you couldn't tell.
Which is so wild to me because now she's in line to play Marilyn Monroe.
Not she is Marilyn Monroe.
The trailer
Sorry,
dropped. That was a poor choice of words. She is in the new movie Blonde, which I hope, and because this is how it is today. I hope she doesn't get any flack for the fact that, she's not American. So they're not giving the role to an American like Scarlett Johansson, who was primed for the role for years.
Yeah.
In this world where everyone picks on everything. Do you think there's going to be blowback for the fact that she's Cuban and she's playing an American icon? You don't think so?
No, not in this culture. I don't see.
Wow. Good for people then.
I mean, I think she's, because one, she's,
it's kind of hard to hate her too.
It's really hard to hate her. It's also, she's, like I said, because she's a really good actress, but I don't think where you come from matters anymore, or like where
I hope so.
Where you hail from doesn't matter. I mean, they're acting for God's sake, so it's.
Yeah, I mean, how many British actors are playing American roles these days? Yeah,
but yeah, essentially, so yeah, this movie is. The Gray Man. It's essentially just there's some really cool action scenes in it.
Popcorn,
straight up,
cheesy dialogue, dialogue.
Absolutely, but I like how they lean into it a lot of it.
That's the thing I kind of enjoy too. Is like they know what they're doing, and so because I watch it. Is it the greatest movie? No, but it kind of gave me the nostalgic vibes of those old action movies you and I grew up in, where it's just
that's exactly what this
shut
is.
off your brain, enjoy the ride.
This is exactly what this movie is. I mean, listen, it's a Netflix movie, so there's that whole
I
thing
think they're churning. They're kind of churning them out more and more, because I think last year Jamie Foxx had that Power movie that I saw that was pretty entertaining.
Well, this is like Netflix's business, because Netflix's business model isn't the same as it once was. So when it was just a straight up streaming host,
right?
all they would do is just get licenses for existing shows and dump them on there. And
then House of Cards came along.
Then they decided to do House of Cards, and then they eventually turned into, all right, we now produce content, we no longer host it, and we're going to throw a ton of money. And that's why, if you ever notice, for a long time they were doing tons of documentaries, because documentaries are cheap in the scale of heavily produced.
They still do. Obviously, like, you could argue that they really contribute to the true crime docs.
I think the resurgence of true crime, because true crime was huge in like 05,
right,
but it's definitely a resurgence of it. Like, the resurgence of that, and then they have a ton of stand-up comedians. They are what Comedy Central and HBO were with stand-ups. Now, if
they're the main
you're
players.
not if you don't have a Netflix special,
how many Chappelle specials have been on Netflix now?
They threw him a ton of money, and like for people like Chappelle and like other, not just Chappelle but other bigger comedians, all right, here's some money, do what you want, because at the end of the day, Netflix needs the content. They don't necessarily, it doesn't matter if it's not good or not. Not that they're not good, but it's like, so essentially, worst case scenario, it's more content they can add. All right, it didn't do well.
The numbers didn't do well, but
hey, that's more content into our subscription. So it's, it's just a number. So if they say, oh, we have 150,000 hours of comedy specials, if I keep throwing money at that, I can keep that number going.
And if it's controversial, even better, because now people are going to go and see the special on Netflix because of all the controversy that revolves around it.
That helps. But also, it finds people that, like, I didn't know who Ali Wong was until her first special on Netflix.
Interesting.
She's fucking hysterical. It's
she's good.
And her second special after she had her kid, I watched it the first time and I was like, all right, that's pretty funny. But then I had a kid and I found that a hell of a lot more funnier when I rewatched it.
You related to a lot of what she was talking about, yeah.
So but with like their action movies, now they're pushing to the action movie thing because that's kind of what they're lacking. It's like,
yeah, and stylistically, like I said, a lot of these are reminding me of those movies that came out in the 80s and 90s, where it's high octane, it's cheesy dialogue, big name actors too.
Oh yeah,
you could argue.
All of them are doing a Netflix deal, like because Netflix is just throwing money at these actors to do these movies, and it's also too for like a director, for an actor, like a lot of times it's like, all right, the shoot is going to be really short compared to anyone else. Like I don't have to deal with any of the studio BS, so it helps. This is why Netflix is able to get all these like bigger names for these like kind of B-tier movies half the time. Is because they're like, yeah, listen, we're talking about 2 weeks of shooting or 30 days of shooting, like on a high end.
Yeah,
that's a month, and all right, that's fine. I'll be in and out, and in like 3 years it'll get released, and that's the end of it. The turnaround time for these movies is insane.
Yeah, I think they're following a model that, frankly, the theater movies have, because all these movies that are coming out in theaters now, superhero movies, remakes of
they cost hundreds of millions of dollars.
Hundreds of millions of dollars to make, and I don't know. This sounds super cheesy, but they lack a bit of soul or a bit of magic in these movies.
It's not. I mean, if you watch, you're absolutely right. Because if you watch like a lot of the superhero movies, the scenes are very flat,
formulaic.
It's like the writing's not cringe, it's not awkward, but it's the same stuff. And essentially, I mean, listen, there are plenty of YouTubers that dissect these movies to no end. So we're kind of, we're not saying anything.
We're not saying anything different, and but there's a consensus too that a lot of.
But the thing is, I get it. Like, all right, I'm throwing $150 million at a project. I better make my money back and then some. So I need guarantees.
Yeah.
Because like the old days, it was, all right, the movie didn't do well, but I'm going to make it back on the VHS and DVD sales.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't exist anymore.
No.
So it's like, all right, cool. I released it. I didn't make too much money. I'm not going to make any money throwing this on HBO Plus.
Yeah, you're right. It's funny. I'm trying to think. So I guess the standard right now is Blu-ray, you would argue?
Barely. I don't even think it would. I think it's now it just goes by resolution.
I'm talking about like discs, like bring home to watch type of discs.
I mean, if you're gonna bring home something, it's gonna be a Blu-ray. But
what's after that?
Nothing. I mean, at this point now,
it's digital file.
Essentially, I think people just go by resolution. So it's like, because now it's no longer
get that 4K, baby.
But even before that, if it's like 1080p, you're fine. Yeah, I think it's just we're at it at the max resolution now at this point, unless we're going into full IMAX systems. But people have better home theaters than actual theaters.
Yeah, I mean, obviously since COVID hit, people haven't been going to the theaters as much. But at the same time, I mean, I'm trying to think. I haven't been in the movie theater in a long. What's the last movie you saw in the movie theaters?
Shit, what was it? Come back to me on that one. Wow, what was it?
I'm trying to think as you're thinking.
It was something that it was actually something recent. Oh, Northman. Sorry, I made a point to see that.
Oh,
in the
great!
theater. Yeah,
great movie to watch in the big screen.
Yeah, I made a point. I mean, I make a point to watch all his movies in the theater. Sorry.
Yeah.
After I saw The Witch, I was like, yeah, this is absolutely what I'm going to be watching every time.
Good one to. Was that your first movie since the pandemic?
Yeah. Like in the theater. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There also hasn't really been anything coming out.
I was just about to say that. I haven't been super excited.
I didn't even see Tenet in the theater. I saw it at home.
I saw it at home too. Someone's Plex server really helped me out to watch that.
Yeah. Someone's.
Yeah, someone's. So I'm trying to think of like action movies now. So there's that new Brad Pitt movie, Bullet Train.
Yeah.
That kind of looks fun. I'm not gonna say it's a good movie. It looks fun.
Well, what gets me, and even like Sam was telling me, when she sees movies like this, it kind of sparks, ooh, cool. But then the problem is when you have an all-star cast, when you have a heavy cast, a lot of times the movies aren't that good.
True. How many of those Penny Marshall movies? What is it, like New Year's Day or Valentine's?
Those type of movies. I mean,
cringe.
Yeah, just a bit. Even like movies like Murder on the Orient Express. Like it's just an all-star cast.
I know.
It's just like
so cheesy and so
it's
bad.
It's like not great, and you're just like, okay, this is what we're doing now.
Yeah. I'm curious because Brad Pitt, Brad Pitt, I feel like is one of those actors that is really good at choosing roles, and he has very few misses. I feel like most of his movies have been hits. Lately, though, he's been doing a lot of these weird, funky action movies.
Because he can now. Like, also, like there's Brian Henry is in it.
From Atlanta,
and he's an amazing actor, and he's just really fun to watch. And then also we have, who's also in this, which I didn't realize she's in this until I just pulled up the cast list, is Karen, I'm going to butcher her last name, Fukuhara.
From The Boys.
Ooh. The Mute. Yeah, The Mute from The Boys.
Love her. Awesome.
So she's in it.
And also,
which, by the way, the most recent season of The Boys was essentially her show.
Yeah, she's great. She's the emotional Carrie.
She doesn't speak during the whole thing.
Yeah. And I'm glad they didn't make her speak too.
Yeah.
Because that's such an important thing of her character. But yeah, all-star cast. Could it be bad? Absolutely. Could it be fun though? Yeah.
I mean, I think it's going to be fun.
I think it's going to be fun.
You know, everyone's trying to chase the John Wick train, so everyone's trying to like...
Which they came out with a trailer recently.
Yeah, the teaser came out.
Whatever. Hell yeah, I'm committed to John Wick.
Okay, the third one.
Parabellum?
Parabellum.
I'm sorry if I butchered that.
No, that's the proper Parabellum.
Trailer was great.
Okay, so my problem with Parabellum is the ending. The last 5 minutes of that movie is just bad.
Remind me what happened.
The guy that's in charge of the Continental of New York, he just magically turns on John
Ian
Wick.
McShane, the English guy.
Yes. He's his best friend, his BFF for 3 movies, and then at the last 10 minutes of the movie, betrays him so he, kind of sells out John Wick.
Okay, I think I remember this.
Which is just, I'm sorry, that is just shitty writing. You've had 3 movies to show what John Wick is capable of, okay? What he's capable of and what he's willing to do, especially for his friends, the people he cares about. And especially what he will do if you betray him. And then at the last second, you kill his dog and he destroys an entire syndicate, essentially. Now, all the New York ones are dead. All right, they defend, it's the last stand. It's like the last castle, it's all that crap with the third one. And it's cool scenes. And then he betrays him at the end so he can maintain the Continental. Like, dude, you know exactly what's going to happen. Like, you've been actually his biggest cheerleader. So either the 4th movie better be I just did that just because, to throw them. Like, we're
plot
really
twist.
Plot twist.
We're still together.
We're still BFFs. It's either going to be that or he's going to kill Winston, and it's going to be like, what the fuck? Like, and then it just made no sense. That's my little rant on
those action scenes, though.
That knife scene is awesome.
When he keeps throwing knives at the one guy on the ground, and also when they're underwater and he's shooting bullets at people. I mean, when John Wick came out, it was basically like
no one expected that movie to be as big as it was,
and people got hyped.
Even then, that's
people
the
like,
cool thing
this is what we've been
Keanu.
missing for like years.
With Mr. Reeves, the great thing about that man is that he has no qualms. I mean, he's already made his bones. He's fucking he can do whatever the hell he wants, and so he does whatever he wants, and then he does like the weirdest movies, and then he'll do just all this strange stuff, and then boom, he gets another trilogy. Not many actors get multiple action trilogies that they're the star in. Like, try to name another one. I'm not talking about like the Arnold Schwarzeneggers or the Stallones where they keep making blockbuster action movies, but getting actual trilogies, and they are also the star.
like pure action, right? We're not talking superhero movies.
No,
superhero
movies is its own genre.
They're out of the equation. Okay.
You just write a check and you get one. But
I'm surprised, and I don't think he has.
For the record, no one thought The Matrix was going to blow up either. Like, until people saw the dailies, because that's all the repeat. As you hear, is like, oh, this movie ain't gonna. This is a really confusing story.
Yeah, The Matrix is a game changer.
Oh yeah.
In cinema, I would argue, not just in action movies.
Oh, just in storytelling alone.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. So one actor I'm surprised hasn't done more trilogies is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Now I think about it, he hasn't done any trilogy. Do you know? I would love
barely in the Fast and
I would
Furious
love a
stuff.
sequel to The Rundown. A hidden action gem.
Not a bad movie.
I think it's great.
Movie.
I think it's great.
That's when he was still going as The Rock. Yeah, I mean,
I'm surprised that hasn't been made into a trilogy. Maybe people just forgot about that. Well, he is. They've already made 2 of the Jungle. Jumanji. The Jungle.
We are all right, guys. Yes, this is a podcast about cinema and film and all things media, and we don't remember anything. But yes, yeah, I'm trying to think of any other major. I mean, he was in 2 Fast and the Furious movies.
Tom Cruise is still alive and kicking with Mission Impossibles.
Yeah, so I think. Okay, so here's my thing with that. There are 2 camps. There are the Fast and the Furious people, and then there are the Mission Impossible people. And you're not in both. You're in one or the other. It's like Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, man. You pick one, and that's it.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you right now,
You're the Green Bay Raiders, baby.
I'm Team Cruise, even though I don't agree with his personal views on things.
I don't care about Scientology. I mean, fine, whatever.
I mean, hey, man, he's against psychiatry, and that's my parents' profession, so you can go F yourself.
Yeah, but he knows how to make a good damn movie, okay?
I got to tell you, the Mission Impossible still feel fresh and exciting, and I heard Top Gun was actually pretty
My brother's
decent.
been raving about it. Everyone I know has been raving about it. I just haven't gotten to watch it yet.
He's one of those guys that has learned to master his craft, which is like the blockbuster movies.
Oh, he knows the formula.
And to his credit, I mean, he does a lot of his own stunts. He keeps himself in good shape.
He funds them himself.
And he funds them himself. You know?
The Mission Impossible movies, I mean,
that's him.
Just go with it. It's like turn your brain, but it's like the Fast and Furious stuff. Turn your brain off and just watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just trying to think of any other actor, Keanu Reeves. If you look at him on my face, should not be an action movie star.
No, he should be doing.
2. He is Neo and he is John Wick.
What a career he's had. Yeah, because he used to do he started out with the Point Break and Bill and Ted's Bogus,
and then he did a lot of romance movies too.
Yeah,
it's the one with the chocolate.
That's Johnny Depp.
No.
Wait, the one with
No, not Chocolat. I'm talking about where he's.
I was a little too literal.
He's actually a candy salesman, and he finds a girl.
What?
Oh yeah, dude. Hang on, we'll talk about this in 2 seconds. Let me just pull it up. Sorry, guys.
Oh, okay.
I know this movie. Ironically, I watched it with my dad. I don't know.
Is this 90s? We're talking 90s?
Oh yeah, it's definitely 90s.
Chocolate.
Hang on. No, that's a really bad way of saying it. He's a chocolate salesman, I believe, and he. Let me pull up his IMDb. We're in a holding pattern, people. Just hold.
It's funny. I don't think even Johnny Depp was a chocolate salesman in Chocolate.
No, he was the
gypsy.
I don't know if that's the technical word, the word they like to be called, but
in the movie.
I mean, if you want to quote,
I apologize if it offends anyone.
Yeah, I mean, if you want
in the movie they do call them.
If you want to call it like Snatch, it's like fuck you, bikies. It's like.
He's a chocolate salesman. We're not talking about Dracula too, right? No. He wasn't Dracula.
Yes, he was in Bram Stoker's Dracula. Yes.
Much Ado About Nothing.
No, let me see. Okay, IMDb is no longer the fun website that it used to be because now it's like the worst.
Just go through his filmography.
That's what I'm trying to find.
Well, this is relevant to our topic, folks, because Keanu Reeves is an action star, and we're talking about action movies.
Okay, so Bill and Ted. I think it's after Bill and Ted. I don't think it's. It was
definitely 90s though, right?
Yeah. Let's see.
Because he was in that movie with Sandra Bullock. That's not the same one you're thinking of, right?
No. This is.
I think that was Sweet November. I totally didn't watch that.
That's
movie.
not. You think that's
I
not
totally
Sandra
didn't watch
Bullock?
that movie.
That's not Sandra Bullock. That is.
With Sweet November.
That's
Come on,
not
man.
her, dude. That's oh my god, what's her name? That's holy shit, it's a South African.
Charlize Theron.
Charlize Theron.
Oh, I apologize. You are.
I know, right? He was also Johnny Mnemonic, which. Yeah.
So which is the one by the lake? Something with the lake.
By the lake?
With Sandra Bullock and him. I remember it was a big thing because they reunited from Speed and.
That's right. He did fucking Speed. I completely forgot about Speed. The Lake House.
Yes, thank you. But
he also.
Why are we talking about?
Because why
what is
not?
this chocolate movie?
That's what I'm trying to find. Is that chocolate movie? But also, listen, man. He was Constantine. He also did Street Kings, which is an underrated movie. Street Kings is an amazing movie.
And Constantine too is an underrated movie. Yeah.
Yeah, Constantine. So I was watching Constantine not too long ago because it's always on TV, and if it's on, you got to watch it, right?
Absolutely.
So if you rewatch Constantine, that is a superhero movie. It's a comic book movie. Constantine's a comic book hero.
Yes.
Actually, one of the comics I genuinely like. Now, if you watch that movie, it's refreshing because it's not following the Marvel or DC filming format at all. Weird ass camera angles. The dialogue kind of gives the audience a little bit of credit. It doesn't treat them like children or idiots. They're definitely like, all right, we're just gonna hint at things and you're gonna figure it out.
When did that come out? 2008? 2005?
2005. I saw that 3 times in the theater.
Look at you, man.
Because I like that movie that much.
Wow. I've only done 2 times a movie in a theater. Never 3 times. Constantine was a really underrated movie.
It was a very.
I'm surprised that didn't make sequels.
He tried, like recently.
He tried to push them.
He tried, and they were like, "There's just nothing going with it."
That sucks. I would have watched a sequel.
Everyone would have watched it. I mean, they've done like spin-off. They did like a TV show.
They hired a new actor, British guy.
And that was more in line with the comics.
It's also on the CW, right? So that's where
I got a rule. Sorry, guys, I'm not really watching anything on the CW.
I think the CW has gone too far. It is all about hiring models to be actors and taking source material and make it for teen dramas.
I mean, listen, they have an audience that they're trying to supply to, and okay, there is a movie. Okay, this is the premise.
Have we found the chocolate movie?
Because it's okay. I gotta stop calling it the chocolate movie because there's really nothing to do with chocolate. What the movie is about a guy. I think he comes home from war. It's like the 1940s. There's like 1945. He comes home from the war. He finds out that his like girlfriend or his fiance was just like thought he was dead or whatever, and like just kind of left him. And he was a door-to-door salesman. He's on a bus. He gets off said bus in the middle of he's bumfuck somewhere. I think maybe Mexico. And he finds a girl crying on the side of the road. And it turns out she's pregnant, and she's from like a traditional Latin family, and like they have to pretend that they're married. Because she's pregnant and she can't be pregnant and not be married. And he's a chocolate salesman or something, and they use the wrapper for the chocolate as a ring. I shit you not. This is the premise of this movie.
In God's name are you talking about? I'm looking this up now because
No, this is a movie. I'm telling you. I've seen this.
What's the name of it?
I don't know. If I knew the damn movie, we would have it by now.
Do you remember any other actors in it?
Oh my God, no. Shit.
Hold on.
All right, I was a little wrong.
In what details?
It was in Mexico. It was in 1995, and it was a movie called A Walk in the Clouds.
A Walk in the Clouds.
Mm-hmm. It's about, here's the synopsis from Wikipedia. It is about a young soldier returning home from World War II who's looking to settle down and start a family with the woman he impulsively married just before enlisting. After learning she is not what he imagined her to be, he heads north alone to Sacramento in search of work. Along the way, he meets a beautiful young woman who's heading home from college to her family's vineyard to help with the grape harvest. When he learns that she is pregnant and was abandoned by her boyfriend, he offers to stand in as her husband so she can face the old world domineering father. During his stay at the vineyard, they fall in love and face angry rejection from her father together. The film is based on a 1942 Italian film, 4 Steps in the Clouds.
Oh, wow.
I've seen this movie with my dad.
Really?
Listen, man, I see some weird shit. I've seen, yes, I've seen everything.
It's funny because I have no idea his co-star in this, Atana Sanchez Quino.
Listen, bro, if you're having a problem pronouncing it,
never heard of her. It looks like she has a big body of work too. Wow, quite the movie to remember, Dan. There,
get on my level, bro.
Touche. Wow. So how did we get into A Walk in the Clouds? We were thinking of Keanu Reeves movies.
Yeah, and I was like, he also did like romance movies, and this was a romance movie he did that nobody really knows about, obviously, but
clearly,
yeah, he is however in a career she insists he continues to sell. So he sells chocolate door to door, and because this is what I remember as a kid, he takes one of the chocolate wrappers and he puts it on her finger to make it look like the engagement ring, and that works. Like that's a thing that works.
Owning the movies, baby.
You know, our boy Keanu, he was also Johnny Mnemonic, so it's like
another action movie
which
in the
did not age well if you were.
It didn't. It also came out, I think, around the same time as Time Cop, the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably. I mean,
yeah, but yeah, I would argue that Keanu is
He's one of these actors, like, you forget he's an action movie star.
Yes. And one of the prime ones in today's
I mean, listen, it's like, okay,
world.
so, you got The Matrix, you have Speed, then, of course, the Bill and Ted stuff, then Point Break, which, like, really blew him up. It's, and then you have the John Wicks, he's been in a ton of stuff, and a lot of them are action movies.
Well, he's a vampire. He doesn't age. So, I mean, he's going to be making these movies until, like, the Dorian Gray situation wears off,
Yeah, but he's like Dorian Gray, but, like, the nice one. Like, yeah, he's the vampire you do. So, yeah, sure, come in, hang out.
The nice kind, yes.
Yeah, it's that whole thing.
But yeah, you're right. I don't think there's too many pure action stars these days that are in like these trilogies or these
that aren't superheroes.
Yeah,
not really. Nothing that
like you could argue the Chris's of Hollywood, Chris Pratt, Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth. They do action movies, but they're never like consistent with them.
Yeah.
Most of the time, because yes, they're tied to the Marvel movies. Because I've definitely seen action movies with Chris Hemsworth. Apparently, there's a really good action series on Amazon with Chris Pratt. What is it? I'm blanking on the name. The Terminal List. Yeah,
I heard. Yeah,
I've heard actually decent things about it.
I watched that time travel one that he was in. That was really
something more. The Tomorrow War.
The Tomorrow War. Yeah, that movie. That movie needed to pick a genre and pick a story because there was like 5 different stories going on in that movie, and it was. I remember.
Is that based on anything? I feel like
no, just shit. It's garbage.
It's based on shit. It's based on people wanting to make money.
Yes. But also speaking of that, which I remembered. It's not really exactly a pivot, but since we're talking this movie, the new they announced a villain for the Batman sequel. It could be Poison Ivy.
Who do they have? They announced?
Oh, they announced the girl.
Okay, I have. You've beaten me to this news, so I'm waiting in anticipation as to who it could be. Is it? I want to guess it.
I'll give you 2. All right, yeah.
You give me 2 guesses.
I'll give you 2 guesses.
Okay, can I have? Can I ask questions for hints or?
Sure. Within reason.
Academy Award-winning actress?
Ooh, I gotta confirm that. I don't think she is. If not, she's
a young actress or kind of. I'm assuming it's young. Is it an actress that I go goo goo gaga for?
Probably everyone does. For her.
Oh, okay.
She's around our age. I'll give her that.
She's around our age. Okay.
Married to another actor.
Oh. I don't know if that helps me or hurts me. I was going to say one name, but I think that eliminates the one I was thinking of. Married to another actor.
And actually a pretty well-known one.
No, I don't think it's her. She's too young. This doesn't count as a guess.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so then what's the name?
It's like, you can't just, all right, these are my guesses, but here's what it's not. That shit working in high school for you? It's like, I don't know the answer. Is it this one?
Process of elimination, bro.
Yeah, okay.
Married to another actor. That should help me. Natural redhead?
I don't think so.
Okay. So they announced it.
She's a very good actor. That
was another one I was asked. Is she like good?
No, she's really good. She's been in some big stuff.
And I'm sorry, did you already say that she won an Academy Award yet?
I don't think she has.
I think she has.
She's won some heavy duty. No, I don't think she's gotten that, but she's
married to another actor. Oh, this is fun.
Mm-hmm.
Is she American?
No.
She's not American. Interessante. Married to another actor. I'm going to get stumped here because I don't want to take a precious podcast time.
You're not going to. She doesn't. I'm actually surprised she's getting Poison Ivy, but I'm like, I dig it.
So you would say it's an out-of-character casting?
Poison Ivy? Yeah.
Ooh.
I mean... Yeah, it's definitely. I was actually shocked.
So you're saying she hasn't done roles that would lead?
Not necessarily. I just was kind of surprised they went this route, but I was like, okay, I dig it.
Oh my god! All right, for the sake of time, I'm going to give up. Who is it?
It's Emily Blunt.
What?
Yeah, when I was like,
I dig that a lot.
Like I said, right? It doesn't fit, but you're like, all right, absolutely. Like she could pull it off.
I dig that a lot. I mean, you've seen Edge of Tomorrow, right? The Tom Cruise movie.
Yes.
Oh my god. I mean, she's got the action chops.
She's in Sicario.
And Sicario too, of course.
Which has, sorry, I will fight anyone for this, as one of the best suspense scenes.
The highway scene. Look it up on YouTube.
It's, I mean, that's
cinematography, suspense.
That's directing
acting,
at its peak. That is
directing. That's everything about perfect. That scene is
It's a perfect sequence.
Top 10 should be in the top 5 of people's list.
Yeah, I read that this morning.
That I'm down for that.
Going to be
Good
Poison
for her.
Ivy.
Good for her. Yet another one of these Brits taking away roles from our Americans.
Sorry, they can act. What do you want me to tell you? Like, it's
true. I was gonna say Emma Stone, but she's no longer with Andrew Garfield, and then she's not married to an actor. So, yeah.
And she's married to John Krasinski, so.
The new Dr. Reed of Fantastic Four fame, I think.
If that movie's never getting made, dude.
I mean, that franchise is a black hole of suckiness. So, did I tell you I watched the one with Miles Teller in theaters?
Ooh.
Well, that was a screening. I should say a screening, a PGA screening. So it was.
FYI, people, he is technically a producer.
You know, I don't want to brag, but
You're gonna fucking flex. It's like,
PGA screening.
just so for some background, one of us does know what they're talking about. He is in the television production scene.
I am in the industry, yes. That doesn't mean I know everything, and I respect your knowledge of films just
Absolutely.
as much as any. But
You're better.
but no, yeah.
So just FYI, people listening, that he actually.
I got the card too. If you ever see me in person, hey, you got the PGA card? Absolutely, I do. Anyway, yeah, I saw that Fantastic Four train wreck in theaters.
Train wreck, you mean?
Train. What did I say?
Train whack.
Train whack.
That's forever what it's gonna be called now. The train
Still
whack,
works.
people.
Still works. Still.
I can't talk. I'm sure the audience has already picked apart what I've said.
Still works. But yeah, I don't think that movie. Who knows? In today's climate, people are still watching superhero movies. Maybe it becomes a series or something. I don't know.
Listen, I don't. I think also too, about time we get to this part of the phase of the Marvel movies. Now I know we just shit on Marvel movies all the time, but we talk about them a lot. But essentially, about time we get to the new Fantastic Four, people truly are going to be burned out with Marvel movies. So I think it's screwed again.
I hope so, because now studios will have to find other stuff to make and hopefully look at scripts that are, in the ether of just lying there waiting to be made, and maybe they'll take risks for once.
Well, that's like that's what I was saying. It was like A24 is the only studio that's really making anything.
I fucking love that studio too. They're also making TV shows now. There's a show on HBO called Irma Vep that I
I've
just
heard
finished.
about. That's
starring the absolutely lovely Alicia Vikander.
But like I said, like A24 has done, they just did everything everywhere at once.
All at once.
They did Hereditary. They did Midsummer, which, if I was plugging it, is amazing.
I think Hereditary, funny enough, Hereditary and Midsummer are
same director.
Same director, and probably the best horror movies I've seen.
Hereditary, not gonna lie, that movie fucked me up, bro.
It's intense.
It's a little intense.
Especially that ending.
That we're not gonna spoil that shit for people. I don't care.
Sorry, hot mic.
But no, Midsummer, not that you don't compare them. They're two very different stories.
Very different stories, yes. But same studio.
Midsummer, I really, really liked because her acting in it is so good because she portrays someone who's barely keeping it together. But she does it so well.
In the midst of a breakup.
What makes it uncomfortable is how real it felt. How this is someone who's going through the shit, but this is how they're like. Like it's like they can hold conversations. They're not just crying in the corner for 20 minutes. Like no, she can get on a plane. Like she can go do things, but it's rough. It's tough, And so this is that studio, A24, and they just made news because they're bringing our boy Brendan Fraser back.
No kidding.
He's in The Whale.
Is he?
He's The Whale. Yeah, he's Darren. I butchered the last names. I'm sorry. Aronofsky. His newest movie is The Whale.
Mm-hmm.
So this is really crazy because Brendan Fraser is in one of his movies. Okay, just for background, he did Black Swan. He's a top tier
Wrestler.
He did The Wrestler, which I was not a big fan of, but
I like The Wrestler.
But he also did Mother, which I loved. Mother was an amazing movie.
Mother was. Talk about batshit crazy and fucked you up. Mother was
that's definitely where the trailers did not portray that movie properly, and
I
love that they did that way.
They didn't do that.
I mean, it's got a Harris, Michelle Pfeiffer in it, and if you start throwing theology, I'm all in for it. But yeah, he's doing his newest movie, which comes out this year, is called The Whale. Okay, and the premise of that movie is it's about a 600-pound middle-aged man named Charlie, played by our boy Brendan Fraser.
That's why he was gaining all that weight for this role. Then.
Yeah, he plays like a 600-pound man who so he tries to reconnect with his daughter, and they grew apart.
Who plays the daughter? Do you know?
I don't think they. Well, I'm sure they actually announced it. Let me see if I can pull up a cast.
The years have not been kind to our friend Brendan Fraser.
It's Sadie Sink. That's the girl from Stranger Things.
Stranger Things, love her.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's playing the daughter. So yeah, essentially it's about. So yeah, this is the full premise. I'm just gonna read straight from Wiki. Is that a 600-pound middle-aged man named Charlie tries to reconnect with his 17-year-old daughter. The two grew apart after Charlie abandoned his family for his gay lover, who later died. Charlie then went on to binge eat out of pain and guilt. That is a sense. Yeah. But yeah, Brendan Fraser's playing Charlie. And my wife had to give me a background because I was like, felt really bad for Brendan Fraser because talk about getting typecast, blew up and then just did a series of just bombs and just some rough movies. But I didn't realize he had gotten Me Too'd.
What?
Not that people Me Too'd him. Like a producer sexually assaulted him.
It happens to guys too, yeah.
No, it does happen to guys.
Terry Crews.
Terry Crews was the big one.
Also is a famous story.
Well, I didn't even know that had happened to him.
Crazy.
Yeah, and he like spoke out, and because of that, like there was backlash.
I'm assuming this happened like in the 90s when he was like one of the
I think
it actors.
Probably. Actually, no, I think because it like and they get fucked him up because I think it like he even contributed to his divorce. Like this is once again coming from the Wikipedia, so take it for what it's worth. Fraser alleged in 2018 that he was sexually assaulted by Philip Burke, the then president of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. Holy shit! At a luncheon summer in 2003, the assault, his subsequent divorce, and the death of his mother launched Fraser into a depression that, combined with his health issues and backlash within the industry over speaking out against Burke, caused his career to decline.
Because honestly, you say 2003 that happened? That's right around the time he stopped making movies.
So he was like
Crash.
Working every year.
He was in
from
Crash,
91 on, he was doing, don't forget, he did Crash. That's like Airheads, he's in those type of movies.
Bedazzled, Encino Man.
Yeah, so that's like the jump is like he does Blast from the Past. Then the same year, these are the three movies he does in 99. Blast from the Past, The Mummy, and Dudley Do-Right. Now, granted, when you do a movie, you don't know if it's going to hit or not. He does 3 in 1 year, and it turns out that The Mummy blows up. Then the following year, he does Bedazzled, and then he does Sinbad. Then in 2001, he does The Mummy Returns, and then he does like a Looney Tunes movie, but then he does Crash. So talk about that. He does Looney Tunes Back in Action, and then the following year, he does Crash.
All in a day's work for an actor.
Yeah, then he does the third Mummy movie, and then he does a G.I. Joe movie, which is an uncredited cameo. So then it's just like a lot of those type of movies. So now he is going to be in a Darren Aronofsky film, The Whale, which I remember, and there's pictures of it. Boy, that's rough.
Everybody loves a comeback, especially in Hollywood. Because, I feel like Brendan Fraser had the capacity to be one of those action stars, or not action, but action-adventure stars in the late 90s, early 2000s, as we were transitioning out of...
He was doing a lot of these just, fun...
Stallones
these fun movies, even like The Mummy, it's like an action movie, but it's a fun movie. I love that movie. But it's, he was doing a lot of that. Mm-hmm. And...
George of the Jungle.
Yeah, I think I watched too much of George of the Jungle. I think I did watch a couple. I watched that a few times.
Definitely watched that.
And then also,
I'm glad he's back in the game. Seems like a nice dude. I don't know the guy, but
it says something to actually speak out to it. So it's like even for a guy, man.
I know, crazy.
But also, on a cooler note, this movie I've been waiting for a long time, the Oppenheimer trailer release dropped today.
I have to see that because I cannot discuss it with you unless I have seen it.
Yeah. It's like a teaser trailer, so there's not crazy amount.
Oh, this is the 30-second or minute teaser trailer to hype up the real trailer that comes out.
But
we discussed this last time. I don't want to rehash it for
it's
our
essentially, essentially it's that, and
it looks good.
Yeah, they're saying next year, so the movie's coming out next year. So we got a long, I think 7/23. So we got a while.
7/23. Yeah. So it's next summer then.
Yep, Oppenheimer. That's a cool story. The cast is ridiculous.
Unreal, that cast.
I'm gonna pull up the cast list here for everyone, so we're not just talking.
Are you kidding me? We have a whole because we totally have interns here that will research.
Oh, yeah.
No,
you got Murphy, you got Robert Downey Jr., you got Florence Pugh, you got Emily Blunt, you got Jack Quaid, you got Rami Malek, and Matt Damon.
Look at that, folks.
It's also Nolan, so Nolan can kind of get whoever he wants.
I read a headline, so please know that this may not be true, but the actors in that film took pay cuts just because they knew they were going to be in this movie.
Probably.
Because those actors are commanding...
they're top tier.
They're 20, 30, 40 million per picture, right? Mm-hmm. So, when you hire a cast like that, the budget's going to go high.
Well, you got Robert Downey Jr., then you got Matt Damon, who's just, fixture now. Florence Pugh is she just prints money now. And Rami Malek, it's, give me these people.
He, obviously, if you didn't watch Mr. Robot, which you should, by the way, great show.
Yeah. Not as many people watch that show as you would think.
I think part of it is because it was on USA.
That did not help.
That did not help it at all. But I maybe found a second life on the streaming. I forget which streaming service holds it now.
Probably Hulu or something.
Yeah.
No, Mr. Robot coming from someone who's embedded in technology.
You said it was one of the
most accurate
portrayals
portrayal of
hacking and
infrastructure breaking, and they expedite they speed it up a lot. But what they're talking about is that's how you would do it. Obviously, it wouldn't happen in 5 minutes, but that absolutely could happen. How some of the hacking,
such a cool show,
quote unquote, or the penetration tests that they do and stuff. It's there's some really cool stuff that they do in that show that makes it very accurate. So it's
great. Yeah. Like honestly,
first season got a little weak. I'm not gonna lie, but every show gets weak at the end.
Every show gets weak at the end, especially when you're trying to make the landing, if you will.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. But Raheem Malik just came off being a Bond villain in the latest Bond movie, so he's got some cred in the movie sphere, not just
Yeah, I mean, it's
sphere.
like when you see him,
and he also he won an Oscar. Hello, what am I saying? He won.
I was gonna say
Freddie Mercury.
It was Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
But even before that, if you watched The Pacific, because he's in that was like his big break was HBO's The Pacific.
Really?
Yeah, and his acting on that is ridiculous. It's really good.
No, he's great. He just joins another star among stars, and if Nolan makes a movie, he gets what he wants these days, right?
Yeah, and that also gets you kind of nervous too, because I mean that you get this like the Clint Eastwood effect. It's like, because now Clint Eastwood is just coming out with bangers one after another, and then now it's like no one really cares.
There is a potential to be. I think Scorsese went through a similar thing where he was making hits, and now
he just makes the same movie.
He's flattening out.
Yeah,
he's flattening out.
I think we've talked about this privately, but I will say it out here. Martin Scorsese is one of probably, if not one of the best American directors ever. I mean, really going out on a limb on that one. However, stop making these movies. Like, you're just making the same movie over and over again. Like, you're bringing back the old crew for what? So they look like shit in these movies? Like, no, come on. Like,
it's funny.
The Irishman was painful. Like, it was painful.
Because, like, whatever you think of Shutter Island, it was a different type of movie.
I didn't mind Shutter Island.
Yeah, I liked it too. It was different from what he usually does.
Yeah, it was a little different. It's also, when you get, DiCaprio in a movie, even just, people's views of the guy, he's a very good actor. So it's not hard to watch him for 2 hours.
Yeah.
But so with Shutter Island is really good, but I don't know, The Irishman, it's like, okay, cool. You've told this story multiple times, and mind you, you've told it before, and you did it better then. Like, you're not making it any better. You didn't all right. If you want to keep telling these types of stories, cool, do that. But you gotta I'm not saying you gotta make listen, Goodfellas is in the American lexicon. Like, it's one of it's on the AFI's list, and then you follow up with Casino, which is also a very good movie, and then you keep making these mob movies. Even The Departed, at least that was a different angle and a different take on the whole thing.
Undercover, modern.
It's not the Italian mob; it's
modern,
the Irish mob in Boston. And you're giving the cop perspective on it.
Even though it was based on I want to say Chinese movie, Infernal Affairs.
Yes.
Chinese or Japanese? I'm sorry.
I'm totally butchering. Yeah, no, it is definitely Infernal Affairs. It's not an original movie. He definitely took it from.
But it was different.
Infernal Affairs. It was a Hong Kong film.
Hong Kong.
So
okay.
But it's like, all right, cool. You want to do the same subject matter? Go for it. Change it up.
You think Nolan might run into this problem soon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not so in a different way, because Nolan's not making the same movie every single time. I mean, and that's what I love about him, is that every movie is very different.
Yeah.
He's kind of following the Kubrick thing. Like, he's doing, he did superhero movies, but then he does science fiction, and then he does historical, and now he does even deeper science fiction again. And now, he's just kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
He does Memento. The same guy who does Memento does Interstellar, who also does the Batman trilogy. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay.
And then now he does Dunkirk and he does Oppenheimer. So,
it's like now he's starting to kind of do these, and I think Oppenheimer's a really good story to tell. No one really talks about it. And I think that's something that needs to be told, because also, more importantly, what happened after he developed the bomb is really important. But yeah, so that's why I get nervous when these directors
they get the free range.
Yeah, and then sometimes you have to rein them in. Not all the time.
Yeah, because honestly, if you're going to do something creative, I'd rather you give in their hands and let the studios come in and be like, well, I would trust a creative, weird idea over studios, let's stick to the formula type suggestion.
I every time you always hear the studio got involved and it turned to shit.
Dun, dun, dun.
But the thing is, you don't hear about when they got got involved and they fixed something.
That is true.
And I'm not saying they always do.
That is true.
But I can't see, you hear that all the time, like Ridley Scott movies are infamous for that, where it's like he has a movie, the studio comes in, changes the ending, and then he always comes out with a director's cut, and that winds up becoming the better movie. But you never hear about the stories about, okay, they came in, I mean, Star Wars, prime example of that, not exactly the studio got involved, but his people around him, like, cool, let's take this a little bit, let's mess around with it. You have gold here, but you have, and to Lucas's defense and credit, he knew to surround himself with people that were passionate about what he was doing. So
good advice, basically.
Essentially. But yeah, it's like with The Irishman, and everyone was really hyped for that movie, and then it came out. And
I know, and it pained me.
It wasn't even the length. I don't even care about the length.
It was just a boring, bland movie.
You know, it's like listen, you've told a variation of the story much better before.
Yeah, and
give other young Italian actors a job. Like, come on, like really, it's like you gotta pull these guys out of retirement.
This weird obsession lately about de-aging actors is like, why not just hire young? Yeah, like you said,
I'm fine with like a younger version. Like, I mean, that's why we always did it. Like, you bring in someone, a new actor, younger, obviously because they, for whatever reason, and it just works.
Yeah, because imagine like making The Godfather Part 2, where you basically de-age Marlon Brando to play Vito Corleone instead of Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro does not get that role.
No.
Like, imagine that.
Yeah,
you know, you know what I mean?
Really
like, he doesn't get that big break because now we're obsessed with like, we just have like someone wearing I guess they like put that, I don't know the science, like they put those dots around your face.
And they essentially just
and then just like put the face of a younger Marlon Brando.
That it's also like bringing in the dead actors too. It's like, all right, let it go. Like,
yikes, yeah.
Like, you can write around this. I mean,
yeah. Look what they're doing with Black Panther now, where they sadly,
are they bringing like they're not
going to bring. He's dead. He's dead in that movie. Yeah. The recent trailer.
Yeah, I saw the trailer. They were saying that it was I saw the trailer.
So why couldn't Star Wars do that with Carrie Fisher? Tell me why.
So full disclosure, I'm like considered like a Star Wars super fan. I know, like, so you got to take what I say about Star Wars with a grain of salt, especially about the things I like. I am definitely a prequel apologist. They're not as bad as
save it for another episode. We'll get into that.
I mean, we can talk about it. It's fine. But George Lucas, I think, gets a pass on all the CGI garbage that he does because without that, you don't get the action movies we have today. You do not get the superhero movies we get today.
He was a trendsetter for sure
because
how many people
Attack
went
of
to
the Clones is 90% CGI.
Industrial Light and Magic? How many studios went to that to do all their effects?
All of them. But it's like without Attack of the Clones, which is entirely CGI, it looks like garbage. I'm not gonna say it looks great, but without that, you don't get any of the movies that are out today.
Yeah, because like you need to start somewhere, right?
Yeah,
and then you refine it.
Like no other studios, like you're not doing the movie like that. But he's like, "Fuck you, I'm Star Wars."
And it's so interesting because like, I always go back to Terminator 2 Judgment Day and the graphics behind the T-1000 or whatever.
T-1000,
yeah. And like when he goes from like human to like oozing through the bars, that still holds up as like a decent CGI versus like the crap that's going out there now, you know?
Yeah. Well, it also too, it's like there's a reason why that whole movie's blue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's because of that. You know, that's also really good editing. That's really good, light direction. Like that's people knowing what they're doing.
I mean, to me.
I mean, if you watch Jurassic Park, the first one, the CGI on those dinosaurs still kind of holds up.
Absolutely. And they use practical for like the raptors and stuff like that. Yeah, it still holds up.
It just takes a lot of time and a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's a lot cheaper and a lot
cheaper
faster
to go
just have
digital.
The studio do it.
Yeah, sad though.
Like I was telling my friend, really, like without Industrial Light and Magic, you don't get Pixar.
Yeah.
Because they were Pixar, so
and you don't get all the great animated movies that came out of that studio. No, you're right. But Black Panther. Going back to Black Panther, the director and everyone involved were like, sadly, Chadwick Boseman cannot do this movie. We're just gonna write the story,
write it without him,
write it without him, and not have to go through like this whole, hiring an actor and making him die in some weird way, like they did with Carrie Fisher in Star Wars. Spoiler alert.
Well, yeah, well,
if you don't know, I'm saving you.
The sequel trilogy is that's a mess, and I give the directors a little bit of space with that because all the stories you hear, kind of. I mean, granted, it's like heard from someone who's like a second cousin to like the script intern, but it sounds very much like none of the the two directors got
there was no synergy. There was no synergy
roadmap for that story, and you could tell. So that's kind of where I kind of give them a break, the directors with it, because it's like, all right, like. But on the other hand, as a pseudo wannabe writer, I love the fact that somehow the Emperor survived, got in a fucking multi-million-dollar movie. Like the fact that line,
the amount of times that particular
that gets me
scene.
through some stuff, man. Every time I'm like, oh, I can't write for shit, and then I'm like, oh yeah, well, someone wrote that.
That made it into
someone
a
got
Hollywood
check
blockbuster.
For that.
Yeah,
they had to pay for that.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I feel like movies can do a better job of just sticking to basics sometimes and not overdoing it. You know what I mean? Whether it's just replacing an actor, someone has died, or changing it up your style, right? Like, you know, like you said, like the directors like Scorsese, man, you can do movies, and he's proven to do movies that are not gangster movies.
Respects artists and creators that I'm kind of in both worlds. Like I totally get like if like a creator like has something they're comfortable with and that this is what they really want and they want to constantly perfect on that. Mm-hmm. I love that. But to me, I'm so burned out with movies now that it's got to be weird, it's got to be new, it's got to be fresh. And I understand that like, that's not the world we live in, but I always appreciate a director that's all right, cool, I did this, let's do some weird shit now. Like, all right, cool, we did the weird stuff, let's do some more weird stuff.
You know what movie recent that's just as soon as you're describing that, The Northman.
That's a prime example.
If you ever, and folks, I recommend we that gets the Dan and Seabass approval of watching that.
That is probably my movie of the year.
That movie, I went into it expecting a certain movie, and I came out. I think I even told you, like, Dan, I did not expect so much Norse mythology.
Yeah, I remember, like I am Robert Eggers, the director of that movie. He's up there with like Kubrick for me. Like I really love the stuff he's doing.
You gravitate towards his style, yeah,
absolutely. Because it's like give me weird, but it's also his three big movies: The Witch, The Lighthouse, and now The Northman. The Witch, as your armchair historian over here, an amazing goddamn movie. Like those three movies are really good because it's like, all right, I'm going to do a historical fiction horror thriller movie. Cool. Then he does The Lighthouse, which essentially is just Greek mythology modernized, and now he does Northman. And I remember after watching The Lighthouse, and I was like, oh man, is this guy doing anything else? And then lo and behold, like, oh yeah, he's going to do like a Viking movie, and I'm like, yeah.
Sign me up. No, like I think you're right, because as you and I are avid moviegoers and we watch so many movies over the years, we want something different. We want something that, you know, is fresh and at the same time also reminiscent of stuff that we've seen before. Like you know, like I said, The Gray Man wasn't a great movie, but it reminded me of all those 90s action movies I used to watch.
Yeah.
You know, with my dad or my brother or like on TV or in the theaters, you know, because it was just a fun ride, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, because no, it is. I'm a walking contradiction with it because I say that and then I'm like, oh shit, more Star Wars. You know, it's like, you know, like I don't care how.
Give me something different, but also give me more.
Yeah, I'm like the worst because I'm like, you know, it's like everyone wants, you know, Empire Strikes Back the 10th time. Like everyone just wants that movie.
There's that one thing that you unabashedly defend. You know, like
I will die on that Star Wars hill, bro.
You will die on that Star Wars hill.
I know more about. Okay, I uncomfortably know more about Star Wars lore than I do about fucking historical figures I had to write a thesis on. Okay, like it's uncomfortable.
It is yeah, that's your thing, you know. Like I will protect movies like The Fifth Element.
I'm right there with you.
You know,
like this is what kills me. Not to keep interrupting. He is the only fucking director that's doing science fiction. Okay, so they don't make science fiction anymore. They don't do space science. They don't do space operas. Star Wars is the only one, or Star Trek. Nobody does new science fiction now, except
they're going to TV shows.
They're doing TV shows, and that's what kills me because they're usually never that great. But
I like Raised by
Luke
Wolves.
Benson does the Fifth Element. Besson.
Our French friend would yell at you.
This is what kills me with him. I love his shit. It's the Michael Jackson thing. Why has he got to be a fucking pedophile? He's legit a pedophile, right? Like we can just say it. Like, come on, like amazing director. Like at least you know.
You also look at the professional a little differently than when you.
Yeah, you do, right? Like you have the professional, then you have
I think that's why they never made a sequel.
La Femme Nikita.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, and then also if you even see his most recent one is essentially La Femme Nikita again, just a new chick, Anna, which actually not that bad of a movie. Lucy's really good. I mean, I know it's like stupid, like, but it's fine.
But he
Valiant and the City of a Thousand Planets could have been really good.
But his style, I think, is just so attractive to watch, you know, because he knows what he wants and he has a rhythm to his movies, you know, and
he I didn't realize this. He wrote Taken.
Yeah, the franchise is mainly because of him because he greenlit all those. He has that European. I think he also produced the Transporter too.
He's essentially he did the Transporter over there.
Yeah,
but it's come on, man. He's pretty much a fucking pedophile. Like it's like there's some real rape allegations against him.
Yeah, not a great dude.
Not a great dude, but it's like the Michael Jackson thing. It's like fuck.
You still listen to Michael Jackson's music, don't you? Huh?
Yeah,
you know, Beat It comes on, you're like, oh shit, I'm jamming this. Wait a minute.
Ooh.
Okay. Maybe not.
Sorry, alleged pedophile. All right, sorry. Like full
the lawyers, man. Our lawyers are gonna kill us.
It's just that's what kills me with that. Anyway.
Yeah, like there are certain movies I will, defend and fight for. Be like, yo, man, these were my jams. Like, it's funny. We have a friend of ours loves those Stallone movies in the 90s, Demolition Man and Judge Dredd. And I'm just like, dude, how can you love those? Like, dude, those are the best. And I kind of admire the fact that he loves those movies because, like, it's.
I mean, it's the people who like Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. Like, it's like these are just there's just a section of people who are just like, this is what I'm into. This is what I'm watching. I'm like, cool. All right, you go for it.
It's funny because I grew up with action movies because my dad was and continues to be my poor dad. He still watches like these B movies with like Steven Seagal, who is overweight and should not be in an action movie. But because he remembers Steven Seagal in like Under Siege and Above the Law, he's like, yeah, he's back doing a movie. For the record,
man, those aren't that great of movies to begin with. Everyone talks about Under Siege is like this great, like
Seagal's movies are like bottom tier.
They're cringe,
for me,
bro.
Yeah.
They're just full cringe. I'm
like Jean-Claude Van Damme, Schwarzenegger.
My favorite is Jean-Claude
the Planet
Van
Hollywood
Damme
people. Yeah,
is hearing from our mutual friend who's French. Her views on him is awesome because she's like, no, he's an idiot at home. Like no one takes him seriously.
And meanwhile in America, it's like, yeah, Jean-Claude Van Damme. It's so funny, hearing different perspectives of like that one actor when like they're revered in one country and in another they are just like, nah.
It's like Christopher Lambert.
Exactly.
He's the most campy ass actor here, but like we love him, and it's like in France they're like, yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Too funny. No, but like, I grew up with action movies, and you get nostalgic and you gravitate towards like the actors that are still doing it. Like Schwarzenegger is still rocking right now with the.
Right, man, people will go see his stuff.
But I was just thinking the other day, like, who are today's like go-to action stars?
I mean, you got The Rock as like a number.
The Rock is one,
there.
I would say.
I mean, even like
the Chris's, I would say.
The Chris's, you get definitely the Chris's. I mean, even like a John Krasinski, he does some pretty. He's pretty much he's getting
up there, which is so random because you look at him in The Office and he's like
Chris Pine.
Not
Chris Pine.
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pine is the other, different guy, obviously. But I'm trying to think of like, you got Vin Diesel, but all he does is Fast and Furious movies.
He's not on my list.
He's not on mine either.
He's a one-trick pony. John Cena's trying to make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, trying to follow The Rock thing.
Did you see that show on HBO, The Peacemaker?
No, I kind of like cut off the Marvel train after the TV show.
I actually heard decent things from that series, but I really don't have an interest to watch it. But I like John Cena. I think he has his moments for sure.
I have none against the guy. I think he's fine.
Yeah,
but like the top like big like just
like who? Yeah, I want to know like who are your go-to actors if you're making action movies?
Probably I would put The Rock, Chris Hemsworth. Honestly, that's kind of really...
Isn't right? Like, because, like, the golden age of, like, I call them the Planet Hollywood stars of, like, Bruce Willis.
Yeah, Bruce Willis, obviously not that
Sylvester Stallone, Schwarzenegger,
Gerard Butler.
Okay.
He does,
yes.
I would
Olympus
put him on there.
Has fallen. He does
something has fallen. He did Greenland. He does like a lot of... He does all those
Gerard
movies
Butler,
now.
Okay. And he did 300, which,
That's where he started. I mean, that's where he blew up.
That's where he blew up.
I'm trying to think. I mean, there's not really. That's kind of.
I'm just like, because unfortunately, there's not a big demand on those action movies now, which is why I keep going back to Gray
like
Man.
The Twilight ones, like Liam Neeson. I would put him in that camp because that's all he kind of does now is like the old angry man who's gonna beat the fuck out of people now.
Liam Neeson has to be at least 60 years old. Plus.
I think he's probably older.
Almost hitting 70.
Since but don't forget, he did like Rob Roy. He was doing like come on, and it's Qui-Gon, bro.
Liam Neeson. Sadly, Bruce Willis cannot make movies anymore, and he was churning out a whole bunch of B action movies.
But now
it makes sense why he was.
I could be very wrong, and if I am, I'm sure I'll be corrected. But those, because he does like 10 movies a year, and I know he was getting sick, so he's
and to give everyone context, like Bruce Willis is no longer making movies because he's suffering from a medical condition.
He's sick, and it sounds like he was probably just banging out these movies quick to kind of get a cushion for his family, which is awesome. But it also sounds like he's actually not in those movies a lot. I haven't watched them. I mean, but it sounds like they were
put on the banner. He's put on
because it was like one producer who's literally throwing him like $1 million to do like 10 minutes of work. So he's like, who wouldn't take?
Yeah, he's headlining
for it,
but he's only in the movie for 10 minutes. Yeah. Do you know why I know this too? Is because, like I said, my dad still watches.
He's watching
these action movies with Bruce Willis, and like he's in it for like literally 10, 15 minutes, and he's like it's scattered, right? It's like he's 2 minutes in the beginning, another 5 5 minutes.
They
over
probably
here.
shot maybe 6 hours of B-roll on them. I mean, yeah, all right. Here's $1 million. For $1 million, you're getting. I could put your name on the poster. I could put you in the promo.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make you do any type of. This movie's not going to require any type of press, and you're only going to be in a couple scenes. You're in and out in a day. Here's $1 million. Oh, by the way, I got like 10 of these. You want to fucking bang them out? Like,
and he's in his 60s too, right?
Bruce. Yeah.
They're all in their 60s.
And here's the thing, man. Like, this is what kills me. Is growing up, Bruce Willis was my man. Like, that was my favorite action star.
A lot of people's favorite action.
He's 67 right now.
Oh, that hits you.
That's what it was.
It's my dad's age, actually. Yeah. There's no really of the, big action stars besides like Dwayne The Rock Johnson and the Chris's. And it doesn't look like there's going to be... Ryan Reynolds, I guess, is kind of there.
He's more of a comedic
type of action star, but still action-y, I would argue.
But I would also
Free Guy was Deadpool.
Free Guy was funny. Like, that was just like...
He does action stuff now. Yeah.
He's also in that camp where he just does what it seems like. He just does what just seems fun to him at this point.
Yeah, like he did what was it called? The Atom Project recently. And
but now, would you consider like Scarlett Johansson an action movie star?
That's a good question, because
she did Lucy.
Because I was gonna say I want to separate her from the Marvel movies, because that's our own thing. She did Lucy, and I'm trying to think. She's done other action stuff.
It's. I would also put Keanu Reeves in that because he's doing modern action movies now.
Yeah.
I would also even Emily Blunt, because
is kind of action-y. Yeah.
She's
a go-to action.
I mean,
Gal Gadot.
She's like it's only really the superhero. Charlize Theron.
Yeah.
She's done a bunch of action movies.
They're actually doing a sequel for Your Movie. I call it Your Movie because you came up with the idea of the movie and they made it The Old Guard.
Yes.
Now, funny story, folks. Dan came up with the idea for The Old Guard years before it came out, and then mysteriously they make a movie about it. Plagiarism, you be the judge.
Okay, so you got to be careful with comments like that. No. All right. So background. What do we talk? What are we in 2022 right now? So back in like 2009, I had come up with a premise that was similar to The Old Guard.
I want to get that.
And I wrote out some notes on it, but I never actually wrote the complete story. But the premise was it would be a group of immortals going throughout history, doing some stuff. It is very similar to The Old Guard. Now, I am not angry about it. I actually love that movie exists because it made me feel better. Like, oh shit, one of my ideas could have made it. So, not saying it would have. They did not steal it. I know they did not steal it. They could not. I wrote none of it down, but it did generally make me feel better. Like, oh, okay. Like, so I was on the right track.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah, and she did what's that other one where she's in very tight leather? Mad Max, obviously, Furiosa.
Aeon Flux.
Aeon Flux, that's the one I'm thinking of.
There's also some Blonde.
Mm-hmm. The female John Wick movie, I call it.
I guess also Tom Cruise would be an action movie star.
Yeah, I mean, Mission Impossible keeps churning them out. They're still action movies.
Oh, yeah. Jason Statham.
Yes.
He's definitely an action movie star. That's all.
Although
and he's cool. Like, it just sounds like he just has fun.
He's great, and he has a certain action charisma. He's like the British.
That's why I liked with him and The Rock. It's like, because they'll just vibe off each other. Donnie Yen is another one.
Yeah. A lot of foreign. Obviously, we could go into a whole thing about foreign action movies.
Donnie Yen has broken through. I think he's definitely broken in, and I think
he's part of the American. Like, he's a go-to for American movies now, for sure. Yeah, but I think
maybe even like in like a couple years, Dave Bautista, give him like one or two more action movie roles, and
yeah, I could see that for sure. Yeah,
trying to think. I know, that's kind of, those would be the big like tentpole actors I could think of.
Yeah. Because, it's just a different landscape now. Because, back in the 80s and 90s, action movies were like...
Well, I think...
The superhero movies, basically.
Right.
There was such a big demand for them. And now...
the studios don't know what to do with action movies now.
You're right.
I think because John Wick comes out and people love it. Why do they love it? Because it feels very real and grounded.
And now they've made
then it's just not that. Then you mentioned like Blonde is a spinoff. They made tons of spinoffs like that.
John Wick-like.
So there's a lot. So I'm a firm believer like nobody knows how to branch off from that. It's like Matrix comes out, and there's a ton of action movies like that. So when these movies come out, that's why you get movies like Gray Man, where it's kind of like, all right, we'll just throw this out there. We'll see if some of this stuff sticks, and then we'll make another action movie based on that.
Yeah. And the Russo brothers, the directors of that movie, had the cred of making the Avengers movies. So like the studio is going to be like, yeah, you want to do an action movie? Sure. We'll give you money for that. Mm-hmm. So they had more credit than say like maybe another that didn't have, they weren't sure if they could trust them with like making a big action movie. So they had some cred to go with that.
That's why I think if you see like Amazon and like Hulu Hulu. They're all trying to make these action movies, you know, because they know no one can touch the superhero movies, right? Like,
Yeah, by the way, you know that new Predator movie, Prey?
looks sick as shit.
It's on Hulu.
Yeah, it's a Hulu movie. Yeah.
I thought it was going to be on, but it's still going to be on movie theaters, correct? Or is it just exclusive
I think
to Hulu?
if it's on Hulu, it's not
exclusive to Hulu.
exclusive. I think that's the whole thing with.
I could have sworn when the first trailer came out, it was only going to be in theaters, and then all of a sudden it was shift to Hulu.
Prey will get released on Hulu and Disney Plus August 5th.
So it's not in theaters.
Correct. Yeah, if it's on Disney Plus, it won't be in theaters.
Was it originally supposed
First
to be
off, that
theaters?
blows my mind that Prey is going to be on Disney Plus.
You know, you got to get the kids learning about Native Americans, about how to hunt and gather.
Hey, listen, man. Predator is my favorite, like, alien monster next to, like, Godzilla.
If it bleeds,
It's Godzilla, yeah.
kill it.
I mean, Predator's just a cool ass. It's an alien from a higher species that just their whole society is built on hunting. Like, it's awesome. So I would take Predator over an alien any day of the week.
Yeah, and which is why I'm shocked that wouldn't you want to see that in the movie theater instead of a streaming service? I don't know.
I mean, honestly, the way movies are being made now, and I always loved going to the theater.
I know.
It's the quality
too
of life
convenient.
now. It's
Too convenient.
I'd be even more willing to pay like $30 for a 24-hour pass to a movie as opposed to going to the theater now. I have a better setup than the movie theaters, and I can pause it whenever I want. I have a kid, and I don't have to deal with assholes in the theater.
You're right. The quality of life, you said, is better. People's systems are better, and it's at your leisure, right?
Yeah.
You know, you're not having.
And I liked the movie theater experience. You go, you get your ticket, you get your snacks, you find your seat, you hang out.
We grew up with that, man.
Like
yeah.
that's that, you know, and like even me and my wife, like even before lockdown, like that was something we still did.
Yeah.
Like that was something we loved to do. Like
date nights and all that
you
stuff.
know,
Yeah.
it's not even so much like the date, quote unquote, date night. It was just more just that we both liked to go to the theater.
Yeah, it was an experience.
Yeah, and now that's kind of gone. But also too, it's changing. But I think they're not changing for the worse. They're changing for the better. Yeah, give me something on the streaming service because listen, man, like to be able to schedule to go to the theater, and then it's like. It's also got to deal with the people in the theater, and most people do not know movie theater etiquette. There's etiquette, and most people don't know it.
Ain't that the truth? Yeah, and I think a lot of old school directors will say like, I gotta have my movies in theaters. Like Nolan especially is notorious for that.
And I understand why.
He was like, I'm not releasing Tenet to streaming, and then he finally, I think, relented.
Because the studio's like, either do it, or
Warner Brothers is like,
or we're gonna it's gonna affect your points.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, they're not wrong when they say the best way to experience this movie is in the theater. Absolutely right. I remember when Revenant came out, and I saw that in the theater, and that's
so good.
Yeah. I mean, I remember hearing the waterfall behind me. Like it was, yes, that's a movie you will get a lot more out of it if you see it in the theater, but not everybody has that luxury, and I think it gets a little snobbish. And I think sometimes the directors forget, like, hey, it's actually not cheap to go to the movie theater for some people.
Exactly.
You know, because if me and my wife were going to the theater, you know. All right, we're spending $50 on tickets. All right, cool. Then we're probably going to spend another $50 on snacks and stuff. And that's assuming stuff we don't bring in from outside. And then, you know, what are we going to do? Grab a bite to eat before or after. You know, we're looking at $200 for the night just to go see a movie.
Yeah. Yeah,
like-
as opposed to you already have a subscription, or you have to pay a little
I'll
extra
even pay
to watch
$30
it.
at home. You know, we'll get some junk food
Early
and we'll
access,
just sit.
all that
It's
stuff
like
that they're doing now, which is so bizarre to me that HBO Max, they still have it where like they have these new release movies and they don't charge extra on top of the subscription. Like Disney Plus does that. Like if you want to see like that new movie,
well, Disney can do that.
can they?
They do it. Like they do it because they can. Like it's like you're going to see their movies. Like you want to see their movies.
Yeah, because they also have the kids factor too for a lot of their movies. And okay, I could see that. But yeah, it's so bizarre to me that like, you know, it is actually cheaper to watch it via streaming the movies than to go in the theater.
Yeah. It's
which is sad because I saw Interstellar in the IMAX theater in the city.
Yeah.
You know that good one? Mm-hmm. One of the best experiences.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I've seen movies in IMAX
Yeah.
and I'm like, it blew my goddamn mind.
Yeah.
It's like
I don't think I could watch it in a better.
like I'm so happy I saw
Environment.
Northman in the theater.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I kind of wish I'd seen Tenet in the theater.
Same.
But the thing is with Tenet, I need to see it multiple times.
Yeah.
So
You're not going to pay more money to see it again, you know?
Yeah,
Even though I did see Inception twice.
Did I see? I think I saw Inception in the theaters. Yeah, I saw that in the theaters. I've seen most of Nolan's movies in the theaters.
Because his movies tend
They're kind of warranted,
yeah.
you know.
Also, did I see it? Yeah, I think I saw Mad Max in the theaters too.
Oh, I absolutely saw that in the
Fury
theater.
Road.
By the way, the prequel has also got Anna Taylor-Joy in it as the Furiosa, which is awesome.
She's fantastic, and I'm excited for more movies like that because I thought Mad Max Fury Road was like so intense and in your face act. This is the stuff that we love. High octane,
also,
baby.
to bring back in last episode, I was talking about old school movie trailers like that. The trailers to that movie reminded me of like the old '70s trailers.
Yeah,
and it was just so good. And
I mean,
I like how the movie's actually really not about Max.
Yeah, no, exactly. And funny enough, George Miller, the original director, still making them. God bless him. He loves his craft, and he's got to be pushing 80
He's
or something.
He's an enigma, man. Like the fact that mind can make Fury Road, but then do Babe Big in the City. It's like, yeah, like what?
Talk about a contrast in.
Yeah, it's like, how are you? What? Okay, sure, okay.
Nah, but I'm excited. I'm excited for the prequel and anything more Mad Max. Although, did you hear that Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron did not get along on set?
I can definitely believe that.
Yeah,
I could believe that because from what I hear, what it sounds like Tom Hardy can be a bit rough, but it sounds like, well, if you guys get along, then he's great. But if you don't get along, you're a jerk. So it's like
he makes you know it.
Yeah, but it's like that's the thing with anybody. It's when you hear like these stories about like, oh, this person was a dick. Well, it's like maybe you guys don't like each other. Like, of course you're only gonna get the shitty side of someone.
Yeah, I mean that happens. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of behind the scenes things that happen with actors all the time that just never get talked about.
I mean, listen, to want to be an actor and to be good at it, you got it. There's a little sociopath in there. There's got to be a little bit. You got to be able, to transform your entire persona to this one particular character on command, and the good ones would be a little rough.
And to think at one point I wanted to be one. I could have been one too, but whatever. Hey.
I don't think you'd want that world.
I wanted to as a kid though.
I can believe that.
Oh,
he also did Happy Feet. That's right. George Miller did the Happy Feet movies.
Again, like you go from like these like kids movies with animals to like this intense
he didn't
Australian
direct Babe.
wasteland.
He actually wrote Babe, the first one. Look at that.
That'll do, pig.
That was a great little movie, man. That was a great little kids movie.
Love those.
I can't wait to show my kid that movie.
Yeah. But going back to action movies, I think there's something, and this is going on not only in just movies, but in TV shows too. Foreign movies have upped their game, and I'd argue they've surpassed American movies in terms of style, in terms of quality.
Oh, absolutely.
And they've always had it. They've always had, the stylistic action movies of, the Jackie
you got
Chan.
The Raid, you got Old Boy, you got all these,
The Korean movies, the Japanese movies, all those.
Also all the gun fu movies that were being made in the early 80s and stuff like that. That stuff is great.
It's funny because, like, they used to, we used to take from them and they used to take from us, but now
we're just straight up taking from them.
We're just straight up taking from them.
I do like their stuff's coming over here and it's getting like real notice.
The Netflix library is filled, and obviously my algorithm is such because I do watch a lot of foreign stuff on Netflix, but like, they know the market's there because they have like cool.
It's people they're doing new stuff. It's new ideas. Just the cinematography alone is like refreshing.
Yes. Yeah. And they'll push boundaries too. They'll do crazy stuff to kill off people early on. They'll introduce subjects that not everyone may talk about, and it's something that I've always been a fan of. Like I remember in college, I took a class called International Films of Struggle. Take it as you will.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's when you watch the Fellini movies. That's
that's exactly.
Jean-Luc Godard movies. Ooh. And then all that stuff. Yeah, I watched all that stuff. But I really hadn't watched foreign films before that, and that it's like the gateway drug. Like once you see one, you want to explore other countries, other movies and stuff like that. And same thing too. Like I've always been a fan of like Hong Kong action movies, obviously because I'm a big Jackie Chan fan.
Chow Yun-Fat,
and Chow Yun-Fat, and all that stuff, and like Hard Boiled Detective.
I would say Hard Boiled is gonna come up in 5 seconds.
Like.
However, that movie, there's some fucked up shit in there. Like
that's what I mean, man.
They accidentally kill quote unquote cops all the time, and they're like, oh shit, let's keep going.
They are willing to push boundaries that most American movies won't.
Really impressive. One single shot scene in Hard Boiled is the hospital elevator scene.
Yeah,
brilliant. And I'm a sucker for those one shots, man. And
everything's choreographed too so much. They and this is a problem. A huge problem with American action movies. The fight choreography sucks ass because there's multiple cuts,
lots of cutting. Yes,
that's
why John Wick was so popular, because they don't do that.
Yeah, yeah, and
the hallway scene in the knife hallway scene is up there with any of them.
Like, and I think if you commit yourself to the fight choreography, that just makes the action cooler and better. But like you said, it takes time.
It takes a lot of time, and it's like you can't hurt these actors.
You can't hurt them, or
That's the whole thing with Daniel Craig after he had done the James Bond movies, and he like publicly said he's like, I'm shot, man. I can't do these movies anymore, and people freaked out. They're like, what do you mean you can't do these movies? You don't appreciate all this other stuff. And he's like, and then he started listing. He's like, listen, I've broken both my legs, my femurs, my elbows, my eye. Like he's like, I'm in my 50s. I can't keep doing this. Like, and it's like, oh yeah, like these movies actually really beat them up. Like, even if they got stunt doubles, they are getting hurt. And I broke an ankle. I can only imagine what it's like to break a full leg twice. Like, it's like, come on.
It's crazy. I think that's part of the reason why Hugh Jackman hung up Wolverine, because he was
saying that workout routine was destroying his body. For that.
I also think, believe it or not, Chris Hemsworth's still young, so maybe he has another 5 years if he wants to do the Thor movies. But I think he's going to call it quits soon too.
It sounds like that. I think like the word on the grapevine is like he's like probably after this round he's done.
Yeah.
Like, after the Guardians of the Galaxy #3, which he's in, I think he's gonna be like, all right, I think I'm done.
I mean, because he destroys. I mean, credit to him. Holy shit. I mean, he does have the superhero body. No one's doubting that. But that's a lot of work to get that body.
Oh, it's a ton of work.
Yeah, and like you build up your body, right? You shoot the movie, and then you can have free time or whatever. But you're gonna get that call again to start working out in like 3 or 4 months.
It's because people I think the audiences forget that these people get older, and it's like Hugh Jackman was in. I think Logan was great because it showed. It's like, listen, this is like really taking a major.
The one
toll.
before he
was in better shape in that one than he was in the first one.
The first one, yeah.
And it's like, whoa, like
dedication to the craft, man.
I mean, listen, yeah, but there's got to be a limit. So I think, but yeah, I definitely like the foreign action films are kind of where it's at. Like that's kind of the only ones that are doing anything new and refreshing.
Yeah, and their series too, like. I recommended this to you a while ago, like Money Heist and the one that's from Spain.
Money Heist blew up with pandemic because that had been around for a while before
that. Had there already been a couple seasons before the pandemic hit, and then when people were looking for stuff, Money Heist was really being pumped out. There was a new season coming along that perfectly fit in. And
this was like in 2010 or like when Netflix really started pushing their streaming service, like when they did like the jump from DVDs to streaming. And I remember they just started pulling a shit ton from Britain, and I was like, that's how I started watching Luther before Idris Elba like blew up, like Sherlock and Torchwood and all these like Broadchurch and like all these like shows. And I'm like, holy shit, this stuff is awesome. And then in turn make the next jump to like other foreign and that's where I think where you a while back recommended Dark.
Oh yeah,
and Dark was awesome. And I remember
no one watches Dark.
No one watched Dark.
How many of you people listening right now have watched Dark? Raise your hand.
Yeah.
Zero.
Yeah, zero. Like you recommended it, and then someone at my job recommended it, and I was like, they were like, no man, you gotta watch this shit. I'm like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And then I watched the first episode, and I remember I was like, all right, I'm gonna watch this fucking native without subs, and I'm gonna try to remember. I was down like, hey, maybe there'll be some grand awakening and I'll be able to speak German again. This is gonna be great. And then I'm like, oh no, this show is too fucking good and too complex for me to try to figure it out.
I think if the subject matter had been a lot simpler, maybe that experiment would have worked. But
I think if that show came out now and Stranger Things didn't come out, that would be a bigger show. Because when Dark came out, it was around the same time as Stranger Things, and people took it as the German Stranger Things, which it's not.
All because the dude was wearing a raincoat and it matched the raincoat that the Stranger Things people.
And I think like with the trailer and like the promos and stuff.
I think they did that on purpose because they wanted like, oh, if you like Stranger Things, you'll like Dark kind of thing.
Dark is a quick sum up, is an ensemble German television show. It's a massive ensemble cast, and time travel plays a major factor in the show.
A couple of time periods
that are going concurrently,
and
with the
everything
same
is
cast.
Connected, folks.
It takes place in this one town, and it's a wild show. That's the best I can kind of give it without really killing the show.
Yeah. Everything's connected.
Yeah,
and it's
say that. A really fun and
mysterious
interpretation of the problem is with that show is that I had to pull up a roster sheet to figure out who was who from what time period, because it's essentially it's the same like 10 characters
through different
time periods.
Yeah,
and
the relatives get involved too.
Yeah, and then it gets like
you gotta
really,
say, okay, they're the relative of who,
but they don't de-age anyone, so it's new actors and you have to figure it out. But, But yeah, so that like made the big jump into, all right, let's watch some foreign stuff. Like let's let's see where
it's so funny because I remember
this is years before Squid Game.
Yeah, like I remember I decided to watch Dark on like a whim because I was on a plane, a 6-hour flight, and I was like, let me before I was boarding, like let me find something to download and watch on the plane. I was like, okay, Dark. All right, I've already established like I watch foreign films, I've watched foreign TV. I don't mind subtitles. I know subtitles are a big thing for people.
It can be for me sometimes.
Yeah, but
it depends on the show.
Yeah, at the same time, there are certain shows that I cannot watch the dub.
Oh, some of it's garbage.
Yeah,
like
I
they're
cannot watch.
Some of it is just really
some of them
bad.
is actually really passable and like okay, I can do this. But other times, absolutely.
There's
not. Give
one
me
movie
subtitles.
I'm specifically waiting for the dub on. Okay, so dubs. Like I said, you said
You killed my father. Now you must die.
Yeah,
Like,
no, it's rough. I'm not saying it, but I like when you can get the
Chinese
original
action
cast to do it. So there's an action movie, and I think right now it is considered like the biggest action movie in the world, and neither of us have talked about it because I haven't seen it yet, and I'm gonna wait for the dub.
now I'm curious.
It's called RRR.
RRR.
You haven't heard of this? I am shocked. This is one of the most anticipated, biggest action movies.
It hasn't come out yet.
Oh, it's out. It's done.
Oh, it's out.
But it's
What country?
a Bollywood. Well, it's not technically Bollywood, but it's a movie from India. But you know those big bombastic action movies from India? It's that, but it's like 3 hours, and it's essentially like India's two biggest actors did this movie.
Is it anything like their medieval movies?
Well, it's a historical fiction film.
Oh, I see it now. A fictionist story about two legendary revolutionaries. And
These are
their
real
journey away
people.
from home.
I mean, very like, all right, strictly based on a true story. These was like revolutionaries in India, pretty much fighting like British totalitarian rule. I think it takes place in like 20s. But
yeah.
this is literally like the biggest action movie in the world right now.
Interessante.
So you're talking foreign films. This is that movie. I'm specifically waiting for the dub because I have a monkey brain and I'm an idiot. And I think this movie is like 3 hours long.
Oh shit! One of those epics.
I think it's like it's an Indian movie. They never end. It's like a 3 hour movie. So I'm like, okay, I gotta wait for this movie to come out. It's like a major deal. It's also been reviewing super well over there. Like this is the movie. So I was like, I haven't talked about it yet because I want to watch this, but I'm actively waiting for the dub. And the actors have dubbed it.
Oh, okay.
So that's where I was going with this. Is the actors have dubbed this movie. So I'm just waiting.
So like the lip to.
I mean, the lip flap is gonna be all fucked up,
Yeah.
but at least the voice is attached to the proper actor.
Yeah. By the way, RRR stands for, folks, Rise, Roar, Revolt.
Yep.
If that doesn't get you hyped, I don't know.
I mean, if anyone listening to us probably knows this movie. This is a big deal. So this is
Interesting. Yeah, I'm down. I'd watch it.
Yeah, this is definitely a movie we're gonna have to watch. But I'm like actively waiting for the dub. I know, but that's something.
No, like I said, there are certain movies and TV shows where the dub works, and if I'm gonna have a choice most of the time, I'm gonna go with subtitles because I need to hear the natural language, and I don't mind reading. I know some people don't like the reading, and that's fine. It's your preference, whatever.
I'm all for the more ways you can actually partake in that said entertainment, the better. The more ways, it's the equivalent of like it's like with books. Like if it's written in Braille, if it's written in a different language, if it's an audiobook, it's still the more ways you can consume the media. I'm in the camp of the better.
Yeah.
So if dub is the way to go, because I totally get why people don't. It's distracting. They can't keep up. It's hard for them to follow. Because also too, because it's been translated does not mean it has been regionalized. So some of the things they say might not make much sense in the context.
Right. Totally. No, you're right. Because like there's certain themes and certain
Japanese
phrases.
Get this hit.
Yeah.
With this all the
Certain
time.
phrases where
Jokes don't travel.
they just don't
cross borders. So.
They're like, huh? When it's
Okay.
commonplace for them,
Yeah, and vice versa.
Yeah, totally.
So, but yeah, I'm always in the camp of the more ways you can actually ingest the media or use it or play with it is
Just watch it.
Yeah,
Just watch
If you're
it.
sitting and watching it, you've already done the hard job.
Have an open mind with movies. It may come off as funky, but go with it, man.
Now, granted, that doesn't mean that every foreign film is good. There's
No. Like there's some that are just like tough to watch or just not watchable. But I definitely think that today they're innovating, they're being creative with their movies, and the fight choreography is a million times better if you're gonna watch an action movie.
I mean, the whole weight scene from Old Boy is amazing.
It's so good, so good. You know, and the raid action scenes are just so well choreographed and so badass. Because that's what you want to see in action movie. You want to see like those badass moments, those iconic moments when someone's punching a guy, but you're following the action. The problem with American movies, like there's so many cuts that you don't know who's punching who. You know,
and sometimes the cuts work in certain aspects, like Taken. It works. There's a lot of cuts in Taken, but it's done very well.
Yeah, and they have to do it because Liam Neeson can't.
He can't do it anymore. But,
they can't really.
But it's like also too, like sometimes it's just, you know, like the Taken scene when he finds the guys that actually physically kidnapped his daughter. You know, not at the very end, like at the beginning, right? He like, it's okay. He makes that famous line, you know, I have a particular set of skills, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
we've all heard it. But I think the cooler scene is when he actually gets to their hideout.
Oh,
and
when
he
he's going
makes them
through
read the notes, and then he's like, "I told you I'd find you," and you're like, everyone, everyone who's watching the movie's like, "Oh shit, it's going down that." Like it's like,
yeah.
So then you can give me a million cuts. I don't care.
Yeah, it's building up the sequence like to that moment. That's if you can do that, you can get away with like you know if you have a million cuts and you can't follow the action. But yeah,
you know, there's tons of a lot of like medieval movies do it.
Yes,
because it's so hard to do that.
In the thrust of a battle,
sword, it's like because the thing is, if they're gonna use a rubber sword, once it hits, you know it's fake.
know it's fake. Yeah, so you kind of have to play with the cuts in that scenario. But yeah, definitely foreign films. I've always had an appreciation for. I mean, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is one of my favorite action movies.
That I think wasn't my first foreign film, but that was I think my first foreign film was Das Boot.
Das Boot,
which is on my top 10 list.
Yeah.
But I think that was the first time I had seen a subtitled movie in the theater. Because I remember we went to go. It was my friend's birthday. You know, you do the movie birthday, right?
Yeah.
Crouching Tiger first come out. We're all like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna fucking see this movie. It's gonna be fucking sick." We didn't realize it was a fucking foreign sub movie, right? We're idiots. Like we're a bunch of 13-year-olds. What the hell do we know? And we go, we watch it. I remember like, "Oh shit, it's subbed." And I don't forget, I'm super dyslexic. At this point in my life, I don't know how to read.
Oh shit, so you must have been a nightmare for you.
So background quickly, I didn't learn how to read until I was much older, which probably makes sense with the lisp and the speech impediment. But yeah, I remember seeing that movie and having no idea what the fuck was going on.
Oh,
but
that
it
feels
blew
bad, man.
No, don't, because it just blew my fucking mind.
Well, yeah, because like the action was so
you
good.
You don't need that whole, you know, yes, the dialogue is really good. The story is a good story. It's a really good fantasy story. But I remember just not knowing, but he was thinking, it was my best buddy. He wasn't there with us, but then I saw him a little while later, and he had gotten or I saw him a while later, and he had the VHS, but the VHS had been dubbed.
Oh, so you were able to like follow the stories.
Hang on. He's talking. I was like, "Oh yeah, Crouching Tiger." I was like, "Yeah, that movie's fucking awesome, right?" Because I genuinely thought it was, right? He's like, "Yeah," and they kept making like, you know, the Sword of Destiny. I'm like, "What the fuck is that?"
You had no idea.
I had no idea what it was about, and
you just saw like some badass green sword.
But I'm like playing it off. Like, I'm like, yeah, totally swear. I'm like, I just thought it was a cool sword that just didn't break. Yeah. And then I watched it again, dubbed, and I'm like, oh, this movie makes a lot more fucking sense now.
That must have sucked. Like you going to the theater and like
I was used to it. I mean, like that was something like that wasn't, you know, the TV movies get that whole ideology wrong, but which I'm not gonna get to here. But that was very much it didn't bother me so much because it was such a good movie in general.
Yes.
Like you don't, and it gave me kind of an understanding of why American movies do so well outside of the States, because a lot of times that, you know, it's like I mean, you look at the Philippines and there's like 3 different sets of subtitles, and most of the time they're not even reading it anyway.
Yeah.
Gave me an appreciation. It was like, oh, okay, I get it. Like this is why these movies still, because it's like you don't like listen to the other day. Do you need to know what's going on in a superhero movie to know what's going on? Like there's a lot of movies that if you don't really need to know what's going on.
Exactly. Simple to follow. Just watch the pretty
You can
colors.
watch Predator muted and you'll know what the fuck's going on. So yeah,
although you don't get the if it bleeds, we can kill it.
Yeah, you don't get the quotes.
Schwarzenegger, man, love him.
Yeah, I remember that very well. Just like, oh shit, it's subbed. Oh, fuck. It's like, all right, it's going to be a long 2 hours for me.
But another thing that made that movie so good and probably helped you as you were obviously didn't know what the hell was going on, the soundtracks. Action movies that action movies that
they
are
got bangers,
usually,
man. That
they
carries
have
the whole thing.
banging soundtracks, man. Like I guess you call Gladiator an action adventure movie, right?
That's a Sword and Sandals.
Sword and Sandals.
That's an epic. I would consider that, yeah. In the realm of like Lawrence of Arabia.
Yeah,
like, that's what that is. Yeah.
Actiony.
Oh, it's an action movie.
Yeah, exactly. One of my favorite soundtracks of all time.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, that's cool.
Gladiator, Braveheart has a great soundtrack. No, it's not really an action movie. It's more of a
don't finish that sentence if you want.
La la thing, but great soundtrack.
Okay.
Did I hit a nerve?
Just a little bit. Okay. Mel Gibson. There's a shit ton of stuff behind that guy. He does make an entertaining movie. They are some of the most historically inaccurate to the point of insulting.
You tell him, Dan.
And I'm not even just talking about because I'm Scottish and like he makes a movie about Scottish people and it's completely fucking wrong. They didn't wear kilts at that time. Robert the Bruce wasn't that shitty. Like, it's like William Wallace was not a peasant. He was a knight. Like he was a noble lord. Like, don't give me this shit. He was part of the Wallace family, which was a prominent clan. Like, anyway, but all of his movies are like that too. Even Apocalypto, which is a cool ass movie. Wrong fucking language for the wrong society. Wrong culture, wrong language.
That must have triggered you when you saw it, because I watched Apocalypto.
Apocalypto is an amazing movie. It's fucking cool as fuck.
Yeah,
but it's
awesome.
like, no, this is not. Also, too, he makes the Scottish people look like fucking like mud peasants, and no, that's not how they were. Like, but it's like all his movies, he does that. You know.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't even want to touch Passion of the Christ, but we don't have to go there.
I got a cool ass anecdote. Okay, so Passion of the Christ comes out.
Mm-hmm. I saw that with my school because I went to a Catholic school.
You went to a Catholic school.
So we made a pilgrimage to the movie theater.
I went day of with my brothers and my dad. Okay, so here's the story with it.
When did that come up, by the way? 2004?
2004, I think? Or 2005? It was like
one of those.
Yeah, it was that year.
Probably 4, yeah.
So Passion's coming out, right? Now, listeners, that movie blew up the fucking world. Everyone was talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was the equivalent of fucking Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, and Matrix to combine. Everyone was talking about it. Bands, mega churches were buying out the theaters so everyone could see this movie because it was being directed by Mel Gibson, big historical guy. However, he is going to do a Medici family movie, and I want to fucking see that shit. Anyway, but
oh, he's directing again?
There's talks that he wants to do it. But anyway, so he's all right. So it's like, all right, he's an ultra Catholic. He's doing this movie. Awesome. Henry Cavill, he gets struck by lightning twice on the set. Like, everyone's like, this is the movie. The movie comes out on a Wednesday and it's blocked out. You can't get tickets.
Yeah. I love to, like, at the time, everyone was like relating Jim Caviezel to actual Jesus Christ. His initials are JC.
Like,
he's 33,
dude,
and Jesus Christ
this
is
is
33.
also before like internet subculture.
Exactly.
So, like,
it was like a whole theorizing.
So this movie's
like,
coming out.
oh my god.
Now here's the background with my little family here. My two brothers and my dad are going. Right. I remember I worked and then I got home and they picked me up and we went to the movie theater. One of my brothers is very religious. My other one is the direct fucking opposite. And my dad grew up Roman Catholic, old school Roman Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
Hates the fucking church. Like, the nuns fucked him up. Like, it was like he was like that world where it was like it was the old school where the nuns could, like, give you a beating.
Get a nice whooping.
They got this crew, and they're all raging alcoholics. All right, just to give you a general idea, right? Fun, not like wife beating alcoholic, just fun alcoholic.
Yeah,
They went to work every day, but they were just idiots.
Functioning,
right?
yeah.
Very functioning, right? So they picked me up. But also around this time, there were a lot of fucking protests about that movie.
Yes, I remember.
And all the movie theaters had people protesting outside.
Yeah.
So here's my drunk ass family. We're going to this movie. They're all hyped. They want to go. They were like, we're ready. They want to get into arguments. Catholicism battles.
No
it's like,
way.
They were fuck. They didn't want to hurt anyone. They just wanted to just laugh and yell at people. Right?
Yeah.
Right. They're not violent people. I gotta stress this. They are not violent people.
They're just instgators. They like to.
They're just drunken idiots at this point. Mind you, one of them is very sober now. Okay, so it's like, and they were all having a good time. They're like, yeah, they're all cracking jokes in the car. They're all like pumped, like, right? They're all like ready to go. They're also genuinely excited to see this movie, right? So we go. There's no fucking protesters in the movie. So my crew is all mad, like, oh, fuck. Whatever. So we go, right? We get in the movie, and there's also the theater that we were going to had a bar in it. So they go, they get a drink. I'm like fucking 16 at this time. Like, I'm young, right? So me and my brothers, we go into the theater. My dad was hungry, so he wanted to get some food. So like, all right. We go into the movie theater. It's fucking packed. We got decent seats. And this movie didn't have trailers. Like, this is literally like Mel Gibson funded this himself and was like, no, there's no movie trailers. No, so we
goes
sat
right into it. Yeah.
The movie just starts, right? Now, this is a serious movie. I don't care, even if you're not religious. This is like,
It's intense.
It's an intense movie, but it's also, there's a certain level of respect you have to show when you're watching this movie.
Oh, no. I think I know where this is going.
This gets fucking good.
Oh, no.
Hang on. It doesn't get too bad. All right, so there's me and my brothers.
Uh-huh.
The movie's just started. Jesus in the fucking garden. Yeah. Steps on snake. It's happening, right? It's like you see fucking Judas. Like that whole fucking scene with the coin throwing blew my mind. And I'm like, you gotta understand, my family's full of history nerds. All right? We are all history nerds. All right? And we all, even if some of us aren't religious, most of them have read the book. Like, yeah. So my family's view is, if you want to have an opinion, put the work in, right? So we all know what's up. We all know the story of the Passion. We're ready to go, right? I got a hardcore atheist, and I got Jesus is God next to me, right? I'm like, all right, here we go. Watching this fucking movie, and I'm neutral this time. And here comes the 6'4" drunken monster, my dad, who's loud and easily angered all the time when he's sober, right? So imagine when he's drunk, right? Sits down, he comes up to us. The movie's just started. Goes, we're going. Now, my brothers are much older than me. Like, they're not like, we're 10 years old. Like, they're adults. I think my brother was already a dad at this point. He goes, we're fucking going. And none of us move. We're like, no, we're fucking seeing this movie. This is a moment. We're going to go see this fucking movie.
How much minutes of the movie?
We're in it like 5 minutes. Like, literally, like, Jesus has just stepped on the fucking snake, right? You know, he's already, like, the temptation part's already started. And he's like, we're fucking going. And we're like, we ain't going anyway, Dad. Sit down. Shut up, right? It's like, so he sits down, and then he just sits there. He's like... Oh, no. I don't even want to see this fucking movie anymore. We're like, what fucking happened? They get them all like riled up, right? Something happened, right? Someone said something.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't even want to sit this movie out. And my brothers go, like, one of them goes like, yo, man, you're being a scumbag right now. Like, this is not the time to do this. Like, people are like, we're probably with a church group. Like, you can't. Yeah. That's not okay. Like, you got to shut up. You can't start like getting pissed off. Oh boy. And he's like, well, I'm just gonna fucking go. And he's just like left. Now we drove him there, so we're like, what the fuck? Where's he going?
How's he gonna go?
He's shit faced. Like, where's he going? There's no Uber at this time. That doesn't exist. So we're like, all right, fuck it. So we don't move. He left, and we just watched the movie. It's like,
wait, so where did?
This is where I'm going with it.
Oh, no.
Now, mind you, the movie theater from his house, not to give us like a location, but it's over about an hour away.
Walking distance?
No, driving.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So he ain't fucking walking home. And my house, which is the closest at that point, is at least an hour if you walked. And it's probably like 2 hours. Right? It's a 20-minute drive, so you're looking at like a 2-hour walk, right? So he's fucking like, so we watched the whole movie, right? Watched about my brother, he's fucking crying by the end of this movie. My other brother, who's stoic, is just like doing that man stare. Like, I have emotion, but I cannot show it. You know that stare that I'm talking about? Where it's
you're looking to your left or your right, it's like, I'm not gonna cry because they
the sad scene, every guy's got the sad scene where they just stare.
Yeah.
That dead stare, and it's like, it's like, yo, bro, you got feels. You know, the feel, right in the feels.
Man.
All right. And I'm like, what the fuck did I just watch, right?
Yeah, that's what I said when I watched it.
Yeah, I was like, whoa. And I'm like, I remember specifically, I don't know if I can ever watch this movie. And then I watched it again like 10 years later, and it was like, but I remember just like, that was a fucking moment. Like, holy shit. When Magdalene's staring at the fucking screen, and it just pulls out, like, even if you're not religious, you're like, whoa, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So now we got to go get Dad. It's been 2.5 hours, and he's not come back. So we're like, all right, he's probably at the bar. Like, we're just assuming he's at the bar having a good time, right? All right. No one's come to like, hey, we have a like. There's no cops around.
No one from like the movie theater.
No one's trying to get us.
I believe someone's saying claiming to be your dad. Yeah.
And he's not in the fucking theater. He's not at the bar. We're like, oh fuck. So there's a Chili's out front.
Okay.
So we go to there. We're like, all right, he probably went there to grab a bite to eat or something, right? He's not there either. And we're like, where the fuck is he? Now, mind you, none of us have cell phones. This is before cell phones.
So you couldn't even get in contact.
No, we're like, all right. So they drop me off and they go home, right? He got a cab. So, okay, so what had happened is...
Yeah, what triggered him to like be like, fucking going?
Okay, so what fucking happened was... so stupid. They had a couple drinks. Now, they were a shit-faced when they got to... When I mean functional alcoholics, they were walking, they weren't slurring, but they're just... He's got a short fuse on a good day. So he had a couple drinks, and he was hungry, because you know when you're drunk, right? So he wants a hot dog from the hot dog guy. Like, so he goes over to this fucking 16-year-old fucking high school kid who's working at the fucking movie theater, right? Just like, whatever, I'm making minimum wage.
Yeah.
Here comes this fucking old man who wants a hot dog. And he's like, all right, I got to put the hot dogs on. It's going to be like 15 minutes before they're ready, because they just weren't ready. Well, apparently that was not good enough. He starts losing his shit on this poor teenager. No. And like, he's like, what the fuck do you mean I got to wait for a hot dog? This fuck. And it's like any rational human being be like, oh, yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah, I'll wait. Yeah, sucks, whatever.
There's also the bar there you could chill out.
Exactly, I'll hang out. Like,
Oh my
so he starts yelling at the fucking kid, and the kid is like, I don't know what to tell you, man. You gotta wait. So that's not good enough. So that's when he storms into us, into the theater. We're fucking going, and like none of us move. Now, mind you, we're all
hot dog.
We're all laughing at him. We're not like, oh God, Father's upset. We're like, yeah, fuck off. Like, whatever. We're watching this movie. We drove you here, so like, what are you gonna do, right? And we also bought these tickets. Like, we're gonna watch this movie. So he fucking goes back. He starts yelling at them some more, and then he proceeds to call a taxi to drive him home.
From the theater.
From the theater. So he just got a taxi.
They had like a payphone in the theater?
Yeah. So he had like he called a taxi and like went home. Now that would normally be the end of the story. My dad complained to the corporate office of that movie theater.
You're kidding me.
Yep.
The same night or the
that I think the next day or something. He called and he was very persistent to shut him up. We got like movie tickets for like a fucking month.
No way.
They handed us like a book of like blank movie tickets and like, here you go. We'll make it up to you. We're sorry. Like the kid.
We should complain to movie theaters.
No, don't torture this poor kid. Is getting screamed at by this 6-foot drunk. Because know what it was? He was all hyped up. He was hoping for like an argument from like a protester, and that didn't happen.
And because he didn't get it, he
was all hyped up, and he's like,
I see now.
So he was looking for an argument, and then he's like, this poor kid. And I remember like going to my dad, I'm like, Dad, I probably would like go to school with this kid. Like when he like leave him alone. But yeah, he fucking. But the cool thing was, I got to go to the movies for like a month for free because my brother's like, yeah, you take them. Like we don't want them. We're done. Like we're like this is all we're gonna see. We're adults. Like they're in their late 20s, early 30s at this point.
Yeah.
So I got these free movies because my dad was an asshole and this poor kid.
He didn't get his protest arguments.
So for like years, my brothers would talk about this movie about that. Like, yo, Dad, you want a hot dog? You gotta wait 15 minutes. Like it was constant.
Just to like trigger him.
Yep.
That's too funny.
But so that was my Passion of the Christ moment. I got plenty of those.
That's pretty funny. It's weird because I went with my school.
Yeah, vastly different experience.
Yeah, I went with my school and we took a pilgrimage to the local movie theater.
My pilgrimage was a bunch of drunken idiots going to the theater.
Very, very different experience with that movie. But hey, if Mel Gibson he's a good director.
Yeah, no, he's a he can tell a story.
Very strange and
it's and a little racist.
Racist man, but director.
Very good director. I like that he does like his historical, like he does topics that no one talks. Like to the defense of like Braveheart, no one knew who the fuck William Wallace was until that movie came out. But, and it brings that in a bright. Yeah, it's like
eat that shit up.
Oh, absolutely, and it's like it brought light to like Robert the Bruce and the struggles of the Scottish people of that time. It was really great, but it's like super fucking inaccurate.
Yeah.
The same with like Apocalypto and a lot of the other stuff that he does, but
maybe it seems like he likes the idea.
He's getting
from
the story
history.
out there at least.
Yeah,
like, I'll give him that. At least he's like trying to.
Yeah,
but yeah. So I don't know. I think that should be a pretty good spot.
I think let's wrap it up. That was a lot of fun. We'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah, guys. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time
for another one.